Hello friends. This is Subhant What Ifs. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, we gonna talk about what if Naruto was the son of Primordial god of light and energy. The summary says, Aether, Primordial god of energy, light and the upper skies, was once also known by other names, Minato Namikaze and Hagoromo Otsutsuki. He had never been as proud as when his wife Kushina gave birth to his son, Naruto Uzumaki. Watch as Naruto turns the world on its head and proves that you don't have to be the child of prophecy to make a mark on history. Before we start the story, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's start the story. Aether has never been more scared in his immortal life. Not for his own life, but for the life of his wife and newborn child. Aether, or better known as Minato Namikaze in the elemental nations, is the fastest man alive. Man is a bit of a stretch as he is more of a primordial god of light, energy and the upper skies, which allows him to create his infamous Hiraishin and Rasengan that can take down whole battalions. But today is a special day for the god as his wife, the beautiful red-haired Kushina Uzumaki, gave birth to their child, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. This perfect day, however, quickly turns sour when a man wearing an orange mask with a black flame design walks straight through the barrier that Minato had made and kills all of the Anbu and Bawako Sarutobi. The man then appears and grabs Naruto before Minato can react and holds a kunai to Naruto's small throat. "Give me the Jinchuriki or the child dies," the man says before throwing Naruto in the air. Minato knew that his cover was not as his son and disappears in a yellow flash before reappearing with Naruto in his hands. "What? I checked. There was no markers on the baby." The masked man thinks to himself in shock before throwing kunes at Aether. The god of light drops and dodges before placing Naruto next to his mother. He then flashes toward the man and punches him in the stomach. The stranger doubles over but still manages to warp next to Kushina and slam his hand into her stomach. Kuchiyus no Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu. The man yells, causing a red chakra to erupt from Kushina's stomach. No. No. Kushina and Aether yell in unison before the chakra builds to the size of the Hokage monument and takes the form of a giant nine-tailed fox. Roar. Kurama's roar resonates throughout Konohagakure and all of the people are sent into panic at the sight of the strongest Biju at their doorstep. Aether sighs before placing Naruto next to his mother, who despite having her Biju extracted from her, is still alive but extremely fatigued. Minato looks at the man with pure hate before flashing in front of him and shoving a Rasengan into his gut, sending the man through the wall and into the nearby clearing. "You have destroyed my family's life and for that, you will die." Aether snarls and shoots a look of extreme hatred at the man. He places his hands in front of him and shoots 5 beams of light at the man who looks in surprise, but melts through it. Interesting, Aether thinks before shooting a few more that also go through the man just like the previous ones. The man throws a few shuriken that Aether dodges and he ends up kicking one back at the man, but he dodges as well. The man flashes through a few hand seals before putting his hand up to his mouth and taking a deep breath. "I release great fireball technique," the man says before throwing a ball of fire at Aether, who couldn't care less but was more interested that the man has to solidify to attack. Aether pulls out his signature kunai and holds in his hands in front of the fireball. "Guiding thunder," Aether yells, and the fireball disappears in a flash, only to reappear 2 feet away from the masked man, who barely has time to become intangible. Once the fireball has gone through him, he sees Minato running at him with Rasengan in hand. The masked man smirks and runs at the blonde god with his chains flowing behind him. It seems to be just seconds to any bystanders, but to the 2 ninjas, it is an eternity. Just as Aether is about to run through the man, he flashes behind him and drives his Rasengan into the shocked man's back. Hiraishin Nai no Dan. Hiraishin second step. Aether drives the man into the ground with his ball of spiraling chakra before the ball destabilizes and engulfs them both in a dome of chakra. When the chakra dissipates, Aether scowls at the fact that the man is slowly getting up, although bleeding and wounded. Aether then claps his hands together and closes his eyes. He concentrates before slowly separating them to reveal a ball of dense light floating in between them. "It is over. I will end this once and for all. I invoke light release fairy law," Aether announces before opening his eye to reveal a golden magical circle. The ball of light then explodes and bathes the entirety of Konoha in golden light. It strikes the masked man and Kurama, making the man fall unconscious and Kurama to recoil at the pure light, thus allowing the Sandaime Hokage to push it back a bit. Aether walks up to the unconscious body of the man and reaches for his mask, but jumps backwards, his warrior instinct screaming at him to do so just in time to dodge 5 kunai, striking the place he was just in. Suddenly a strange plant-like creature appears from the ground, grabs the body and disappears. Aether's eyes change to purple eyes with a ripple pattern as he searches around for the man, but somehow, he wasn't in his sensing range. "No. Damn it." Aether yells before realizing it was futile. He then turns toward his son, Kurama, and flashes in front of him, planning on finishing the problem once and for all. He raises his foot and drops it onto Kurama's head in an axe kick that would impress Tsunade, and the Biju slams into the ground with enough force to form a crater. He flashes through a few hand seals before blowing out a few bullets of water. Finally, he clasps his hands together and coats them in wind chakra before swinging them like a sword, sending a blade of wind that strikes Kurama, sending him deeper into the crater, but regardless, he still gets up. Damn, he can only be sealed or weakened. I wonder if my nephew is busy. Aether thinks before flashing away and reappearing on the Hokage monument with his arms crossed, waiting for his foe to recover. In that time, the Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen, appears in a shunshin next to him. Aether then changes into his true form, a tall platinum blonde almost silver-haired man with blue-green eyes that looks to be in his late 30s. He looks much like his Minato form, but his hair is up to his waist and extremely spiky and wild, Think Goku Super Saiyan 5 hair. What's the plan, Aether-san? Hiruzen asks as he too watches the Biju. He is among the few in the nations to know Minato Namikaze's real identity as Aether. It's time to fake my death. Take care of the village, Hiruzen Jiji. Aether says to his fellow Hokage before flashing hand seals at an almost unearthly speed and stopping with a clap of his hands, making Hiruzen's eye widen in surprise. Aether! Yells Hiruzen as he knew the consequences of that jutsu. Shiki Fujin. Dead consuming seal. Aether yells before summoning the Shinigami. The Shinigami is in fact his great-great-nephew Hades, god of the dead. Aether was quite close to Hades as he and Erebus, his brother, helped train him in his powers when he was but a godling, so Hades cut out the great portion and just called him uncle. Uncle, what do you require? Hades says with a bow. He is a tall, imposing and very muscular god with albino white skin, glittering black eyes that are either the eyes of a genius or a madman, and shoulder-length black hair. He is wearing black flowing robes that drag on the floor, and every few seconds, an evil soul sewed into it screams out. As soon as Hiruzen sees Hades, he falls to one knee due to being one of the few clear-sighted mortals in Konoha. Hades, I require your help to gather Kurama's chakra into this seal, Aether says. He holds out his right hand and a seal appears in front of them, floating in the air like a jellyfish made of ink. What is my payment? Hades asks, as even though he won't take his uncle's soul, the jutsu requires some form of payment. I'll give you 12 bars of brilliant silver, Aether says without looking at Hades, while watching Kurama look at him. Brilliant silver is the metal of the Primordials and is extremely hard to get, so to Hades that is acceptable. Hades extends his arm and grabs most of Kurama's chakra and pulls it into the seal. Arg! Kurama yells as his chakra is pulled away into the seal. Kurama slowly begins to shrink until he is the size of a small dog and begins to fall 50 feet to the ground. Aether quickly flashes and catches Kurama before flashing back to the Hokage monument. Kurama is about the size of a Shih Tzu and its 9 tails are wagging behind him wildly. Aether then takes the floating seal and places it on the fox, sealing away his chakra. Hiruzen looks at the god in awe as he looks over his village before he asks something. Is it over? Yes. You should cast a Jinjutsu over Konoha so that it looks like I sealed Kurama away entirely. That way, the greedy villagers won't look for it. Aether recommends, making Hiruzen nod. He flashes through a couple hand seals and casts a Jinjutsu over all of Konoha so that all watching did not see it. Aether then turns toward Hades and nods. May we stay with you? Aether asks since he needs somewhere to live with his family. As a primordial, he does not follow the rules that Zeus put in place, and as such, he could raise his child with his wife. However, his normal home is in the void along with the rest of the primordials, but the sheer pressure there will kill anyone who is not immortal. Of course, uncle. I have a house set for you in Elysium. You can take the clear-sighted mortal wife and your kid with you. Hades says. Aether smiles and turns toward Hiruzen. It's been a pleasure, Hiruzen. Tell everyone I am dead and that I sacrificed myself in order to seal away Kurama. I'll send my son here one day so that he can train in the shinobi arts. Until then, Hiruzen, Aether says, causing the elderly Kage to bow to the god. Aether then hands Hiruzen a kunai to summon him if need be. Hiruzen nods and Aether disappears with Hades, Aether in a yellow flash and Hades into the shadows. With Kushina and Naruto. Honey. Aether yells as he walks to where Kushina and Naruto are. As a soft and romantic reunion, he is met by a flying fist to the face, sending him into the wall. Kushina stands there with her face red and grabs her immortal husband by the jacket. How dare you just leave me to go fight a goddamn Biju? I am going to castrate you with a rusty katana. I don't give a damn if you are a god, people in Tartarus will feel sorry for you. Kushina roars at her husband before dropping him onto the floor. Aether crawls into a little ball to protect his vital organs and something else vital. Ha had to ave everyone. Don't kill me. Aether says in his defense, making Hades sigh as this is how he feels with Persephone. Persephone actually wanted to marry him and they had truly fallen in love, but his sister refused and came up with that story so that her daughter's reputation and hers by extension would not be ruined. Kushina draws her katana and begins to inch towards Aether with a sadistic smirk that would impress Anko. Lady Kushina, we must head to the underworld. Hades interrupts so to prevent a possible mutilation. Okay, Kushina says with a bright smile, causing Hades to sweat drop at her bipolar personality. Slowly Aether stands up and looks at his son and smiles. His eyes are a deeper blue than Aether's own, and he has the same silver hair that seems to reflect the light. He also has 3 whisker marks that when Aether rubs, he purrs like a cat. Kushina, having not noticed that, latches onto her child and begins chanting kawaii 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 kawaii, making Hades and her husband sweat drop. However, this gives Aether enough time to grab both of them and Hades before disappearing in a flash. And just like that, the Yondaime Hokage and the Aka no Shai left the elemental nations. 12 years later, odds. Apollo, there are literally 196. 9 million square miles where you could shine your freaking sunlight, but it just has to be on my face. The blonde boy yells from his bedroom as he is awoken by the sun. 12 years have passed since Naruto and his family have come to the underworld. Naruto is now about 5'3" and has a swimmer's build that makes him lean. He has spiky silver hair and 2 jaw-length bangs that frame his face, much like his father's mortal hairstyle, that enhances the deep blue of his eyes and makes him all the rage among the female ghosts. Over the years, Naruto has mastered his godly abilities to an acceptable level, so he can teleport like his father and perform many of the techniques his father can, such as creating weapons made of light with a brilliant steel base. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Stop cursing and get your ass downstairs. Naruto's mother, Kushina, yells from downstairs, making Naruto sweat drop at the hypocrisy. Naruto sighs and gets out of bed to get dressed. He puts on a white jacket with orange trimming over mesh armor and black pants, much like his father's genin outfit. He runs outside of his room and jumps down the flight of stairs, landing in a roll before standing up. He walks into the brightly lit kitchen to see his mother finishing breakfast and his father doing the underworld crossword puzzle. Good morning, offspring. Aether yells as he sits at one of the stools at the island while writing a torture into one of the rows. Morning, Pops, Naruto says as he sits next to his father. His mother places a plate covered in eggs, pancakes and bacon in front of him. Naruto looks over his father's shoulder before writing in Pluto to answer, what is Hades' Roman form's name? Your food is getting cold. You're going to need to eat something for later, Kushina comments, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Why? Naruto asks before digging into his food. Your father is taking you to the elemental nations today, and you will be there for a year to train, Kushina says, making Naruto jump off his stool and jump up and down in happiness. So I'm finally going to meet Kakashi and Hiruzen and all of the other cool people. Naruto says, making his father nod and smile. Naruto then stops as he remembers something. And Hiruzen. Naruto deadpans, making either sigh and Kushina break into hysterical giggles at her child's nickname for the man. Yep. You done eating? Aether says as sees Naruto finish eating and wipe his mouth. Naruto was about to nod but realizes something. Kurama. Naruto yells before Orange Fox walks lazily into the kitchen. He was small and looked very much like a normal fox, except he had 9 tails swaying behind him. We leaving? Kurama asks before leaping onto Naruto's head and landing there. Kurama was Kurama that attacked Konoha 12 years ago and had initially hated them all, as it was human that enslaved him to attack the village. But Naruto, who was a child, didn't know this and treated the Biju like a friend. It was then Aether made him a deal: if he protected Naruto, then he may stay with them and love happily, which was good, considering that something that Aether thought of doing was keeping Kurama in the underworld forever. As such, the Biju and Naruto were partners. Then let's go. Aether says before giving Kushina a kiss and grabbing Naruto by his shoulder, disappearing in a flash. In the Hokage's office. Naruto appears in a white flash in front of Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, scaring the old man who was buried under a ton of paperwork. 3 Anbu jump down from the ceiling and draw their katanas on Naruto, who just rolls his eyes. He said to clear the room, Naruto says, making Hiruzen look at the boy closely. Silver hair, unnaturally blue eyes, he must be Aether's boy. Leave us, Hiruzen says, making the Anbu look at him like he was crazy, but Hiruzen shoos them away with a wave of his hand. The Anbu bow and then disappear in a shunshin. I'm out, Pops. Naruto yells before a yellow flash fills the room and Aether appears. It's been what, 12 years, my old friend? Aether asks before he is crushed by a hug by the old man. The village had been put back in his hands once again after Aether had left, and it had been a pain in the ass. Minato Aether had kept the village in check and shut down any petitions from the civilians to restrict the access of shinobi, but now in Hiruzen's old age, he did not have all of the support that he once had, so a few of the civilians' petitions have been passed and a civilian council had been added. But the worst part of Aether leaving was he once again have to do paperwork. Good. Kakashi will want to see you and Jiraiya is in the village right now. I'll alert them of your presence. Actually tell them to meet us at training ground 7. Naruto and I will be staying here for a while, Aether explains, making the old man nod, while Naruto is getting antsy at the lack of action. I'll see you around, old man, pops. Naruto yells before flashing away much like his father did when he was the Hokage, ready to start a new adventure. 8 of Konoha. An entire year had passed since Naruto and his father came to Konoha, and much has happened. Naruto had trained with Hirosenin and the Scarecrow as he affectionately calls them along with many other jonin. He had learned the Henge, Kawarimi and the Kage Bunshin, as he could not do the Bunshin with his gigantic reserves. He had also learned to control all of the elements with his father's help. Flashback start. Naruto and his father was in training ground 7 and going through Taijutsu katas when Aether stops, looking into the seemingly endless forest of Konoha before taking a deep breath. It is time to finish your training, Aether says, causing Naruto to stop his kata and look at his father. I thought I finished my training. Naruto asks in confusion, making Aether smile. Aether then walks toward the training dummies with Naruto following him. It is the reason why I am considered one of the strongest primordials, for I control energy. Aether says before holding out his right hand in front of him, just like how he did to form the Rasengan. Peyton Aether says before basking his hand in crimson flames. Aether places his palm on one of the training dummies, causing it to erupt into crimson flames that seemed to burn stronger than normal red and orange flames. Suiton Aether announces before lighting his left palm with water, and with a swish of his hand, a wave of water appears and puts out the flames. Duiton Aether calls before coating his hands in wind and swinging them at 2 dummies with a circular motion, sending 2 blades of wind. Bisecting the 2 dummies. Oten Aether explains before coating his right fist in earth chakra and punching the ground, making 3 spikes of earth pierce through 3 dummies, Naruto's jaw dropping. The white holy light or Koten Aether says as a wide aura surrounds him and he shoots 5 bolts of light. And the forbidden light, the black light of destruction or might, Aether finishes before his wide aura is replaced by a black one. Aether shoots forward at a speed that Naruto was unable to follow before touching a dummy that instantly disintegrated, making Naruto's jaw drop further. Now, let's begin, Aether says before cracking his knuckles and sending Naruto a sadistic smirk that makes Naruto shiver. Damn, I'm going to die, Naruto thinks to himself before getting ready for training. Flashback end. After a lot of training, Naruto had found out that he was the only child of either the Rakuto Sennin to inherit the Rinnegan, and due to Kurama's chakra running through his mother's coils when he was born. As such, his Rinnegan was mutated into a combination of the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. It was purple with 3 tomos in the first ring, 3 in the second ring and 3 in the third, leaving him with a Rinnegan with 9 tomos. The eyes were called the Tengen or the Heaven's Eye by Aether, who was sure that it could make Naruto one day stronger than himself. Naruto however hated the Tengen as it made him feel like he was cheating when he used Banbutsu Sozo, one of the only techniques he knew. However, the process knocked him out all day even with Kurama's help. But the technique he created, his own version of Samehada, a sword he read about that could eat sword, was a beautiful katana made of celestial bronze and Stygian iron and a brilliant steel core that gave it life. The blade was called Namiwakiru, or to cut through the waves, and he kept it in a flashlight form on his waist. Most importantly, he made friends in the Jonin such as Tsu Minyazuka, who taught him, and Kurama, how to fight together like an Inyazuka, and their partner Urasuma, who taught him chakra flow. But the place where he was the most was in the Hokage's library, the most knowledge in Konoha. Naruto could perform any elemental ninjutsu technique with enough practice, but he needed to know the theory behind some of them to do them at all. This skill however got the attention of a Sasuke Uchiha, the spoiled brat of the council himself. Flashback start. Naruto was in training ground 7 and practicing his mighten when he feels someone enter his sensory range. Naruto focuses and senses genin level reserves with slightly more developed eye coils than the rest of his body. He also notices that waves of negative emotions rolling off of him. This matches the description of Naruto's friend turned traitor, Itachi Uchiha, or rather due to the emotions and low reserves, most likely his idiotic brother Sasuke Uchiha. Who are you, dope? Sasuke asks Naruto, who continues training. Naruto Hikari, Naruto says over his shoulder as he focuses on drawing in the darkness around him. You're the one the council is making a fuss about, Sasuke comments, making Naruto roll his eyes and kneels in a Seiza position. Okay, I don't care, Naruto responds as he closes his eyes, body facing away from Sasuke. Face me, you are in the presence of Uchiha, Sasuke says with an arrogant smirk, but Naruto could care less. Your brother was so much more reasonable and much less arrogant, Naruto says, eyes never opening. Where is he? Sasuke yells, Kai flaring. Nice try with the Kai, but it won't work on anyone stronger than a genin, Naruto comments with a small smile. Bastard. Sasuke yells as he flashes through hand seals. I release fireball jutsu. Sasuke yells before blowing a 3-foot ball of fire at Naruto, who still doesn't open his eyes. You are just an arrogant brat who can't hold a candle to your brother, Naruto says before blowing out, causing the fireball to shoot back at Sasuke, who scrambles to get out of the way. Sasuke looked like he was about to engage Naruto once more before remembering what happened before and runs away, leaving Naruto to meditate. Flashback end. Overall, it had been a productive year, but Naruto's time in Konoha had come to an end. I'll visit. Naruto says as he waves at the crowd, making Anko, or as Naruto called her, that crazy snake lady, stand up. You better, Gaki, brat. Anko yells before throwing a kunai at Naruto, which Naruto catches with 2 fingers. John, and Naruto says before flashing away from Konoha, a lone tear falling from his right eye. Knife does not own Naruto or Percy Jackson, they belong to their respective authors. Perseus Jackson, the only demigod son of Poseidon, was thanking whatever god was looking down on him as half a dozen arrows pierced the hide of the manticore that was about to make him visit his uncle, Hades. Everyone looks in the direction of the arrows to find that the attackers are a bunch of girls around his age or younger, all with their bows out and arrows at the ready. The hunters. Annabeth Chase, Percy's blonde companion, proclaims before giving a sigh of relief. Duty, Percy's other companion, Thalia Grace, comments. She looks like a mix between a punk and a goth, with her spiky shoulder-length black hair, black clothing and spear sparking with lightning. One girl from the group steps forward, the silver circlet on her black hair, setting her apart from the others. She draws her bowstring back further and aims her arrow at the head of. Shall I end it, Milady? The girl says as she looks down at the shot, spawning fear in S widened eyes. You cannot do this. It is forbidden by ancient law. Exclaims, but an auburn-haired girl the age 12 or 13 steps forward. The fierce glare in her eyes is only strengthened by the biting undertone that appears when she starts talking. On the contrary, my domain covers all wild animals, and last time I checked, Manticore, your species is considered as such. So you may take the. Sorry Artie, but I got this. A voice cuts in, making all the onlookers turn to a hooded figure at the side. He has a bow drawn at the monster, and several gasps erupt at its beauty. It is solid yet transparent, and has what appears to be solidified light coursing through it. The man pulls the string, and an arrow made of light appears, which he aims at. Say hello to chaos for me. The man says before letting loose the arrow. It flies through the air as a blur of light and goes straight between S' eyes, causing him to explode into white dust. The archer walks toward S' downed form before turning his head to the right suddenly. Down. The man yells as his right fist is coated in black flames and he jumps off of the cliff, flying 20 feet before punching a hole straight through the engine of a black helicopter that was coming up over the cliff. Percy watches with awe as the now flaming helicopter spirals out of control and crashes into his father's domain. The mysterious stranger collapses his bow into a ring and the hunters take the chance to jump down in front of him. Zo and some of the other younger hunters draw their bows. Reveal thyself, man. So, you knew who I was as soon as I appeared, the man replies before looking at Artemis, who looks back in shock. Is that really you? Artemis, Thalia and Annabeth ask in unison, causing the hunters to lower their bows. If their lady knew the man, they couldn't kill him. Yet, Percy draws Riptide and points it at the man. Who are you? The man's right hand glows white before he grabs the blade as if it is nothing. He then takes off his hood to show everyone his face. He has spiky blonde hair that goes in all directions and ocean blue eyes that are unnaturally bright like there is a light behind them. He is maybe 6'1" and muscular but not overly. The most distinct features are the 3 whisker marks he has on each cheek, giving him the appearance of something closer to a tiger than a cat. He is wearing a white cloak that has a flap open to show arrows with white fletchings that are sticking out of their quiver, white Anbu pants, white shinobi sandals tied down with bandages, a white flak jacket, 2 white belts crossing across his waist, and a white tank top with a gold omega on his right pectoral. He has one of those commando belts going across his torso that had several steel handles and a couple weird-looking knives, which suddenly blend into the belt like they were never there. Around his neck was a leather necklace with at least 5 beads and had a silver guitar pendant along with another pendant of a glass rod. Lastly, hidden under his cloak sleeve was a tattoo with the letters SPQR and at least 5 lines, along with an eagle symbol. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Aether, champion of chaos and guardian of demigods. Naruto says with a foxy grin, a few girls blushing at its radiance. He shoots a glare at Percy, making Percy sweat in fear. What? Percy stammers, his face pale white. Naruto gestures at Bianca and Naiko, who are scared in the corner. You risk the lives of these demigods, who I were trying to protect, by rushing ahead without thinking. Naruto yells with fury blazing in his eyes. He then switches moods completely and looks at Artemis with a sweet smile, leading everyone to make the assumption that he is bipolar. Artie, can you call your brother? I would drive my car, but I can't fit everyone like SOL can, Naruto asks politely. Artemis nods but groans at having to call her brother. Naruto walks over to Naiko and Bianca and sits down next to them with a smile. Sorry if this is a lot to take in, but I was sent by your father to protect you, Naruto says to Naiko and Bianca. Yo. You know our father? Bianca asks with wide eyes. Naruto glances at Artemis, who nods. Given the permission to reveal the truth, Naruto continues. Yeah. Do you know about Greco-Rom? Greek mythology? Naiko's eyes light up and begins pulling out his cards from his mythmagic game. Yeah. Like Zeus, Poseidon and Hades. He yells in excitement. Yep. Bianca, Naiko, your dad is actually the Lord of the Dead. Naruto smiles brightly. Silence falls, and everyone facepalms at Naruto's bluntness. Is this a joke? Because it isn't funny. Bianca says with a pale face, the exact opposite of Naiko. Our dad is. Naiko yells and stands up, but Naruto holds up his hand to stop him from finishing. Names are powerful, Naiko. Be careful when you use them. Why don't you go over to Grover and teach him your mythmagic game? Naiko nods and stands up. Naruto thinks for a second and pulls out a scroll from his flak jacket. He unrolls it to reveal an advanced set of symbols. Naruto places his hand on it, and there is a puff of smoke before a little statue appears on top of the symbols. Oh yeah? Here. Naruto hands Naiko the little statue, which is in fact part of his game. Whoa. Hades. He's one of the rarest ones. Naiko hugs a surprised Naruto and grins. Naiko then turns around to play with it but stops when he sees Bianca's mother face. Naiko, what do you say? Bianca scolds, to which Naiko makes a sheepish look. Thank you. Naiko exclaims before going to play with Grover. Bianca then walks over to Thalia, Annabeth and Percy, as they are the only people not part of the hunters, while Naruto walks over to Artemis, towering over her 5 form. Who is that jerk? Percy says as he kicks a few rocks but moves to the side to dodge a bolt of lightning. Shut up. Annabeth yells, making Percy put his hands up in defense. What? Percy asks, making Thalia sigh. Naruto was like the Luke of our camp when we first got there. Everyone knew him and looked up to him. He was the big brother of the camp. He along with Grover were the ones who brought us to Camp Half-Blood, but he left soon after I was tree-ifed. No one has seen him since he vanished 7 years ago. Thalia explains, making Percy stop. Why isn't the dust gold? Percy asks in an attempt to change the subject. If Naruto kills a monster, he can send the monster straight to oblivion where it can't respawn as he is the champion of chaos, Grover says as he looks up from his game with Naiko. Chaos? Percy asks with a look of confusion, causing Annabeth, Thalia, Grover and even Naiko, who had the chaos card in his game, to facepalm. My gods, seaweed brain, don't you read? Chaos was the first god and father of the Primordials. Naruto is the first demigod to meet him and is the first demigod to be the champion of a Primordial. Annabeth rants, her eyes awestruck at the possibility of meeting the creator of the universe. He said he was a son of Aether. Who's Aether? Percy asks, making everyone want to roll their eyes. I swear sometimes, water boy. Aether is the primordial god of light, energy and the upper air, which is the air that the Olympians breathe, Thalia explains, and Percy nods as he takes everything in. Silence falls until Percy realizes something. What if he is a spy for luck? Percy asks, but Annabeth cuts him off. Don't say that. Naruto is like a big brother to me. He taught how to use my dagger. Percy pauses at the revelation because he knows that Annabeth is the best dagger user in the camp. He taught me to use my powers and helped me with my acrophobia. You're just upset that he yelled at you, but he was right to do so. We could have just made an excuse and took them back inside, but you had to be a big shot, Thalia scolds. Percy frowns and looks to where Naruto is talking to the goddess of the moon. HMPH. Well, I don't trust him, Percy says before turning to see where Naruto was. Where have you been? Artemis questions while they watch the kids. She liked Naruto and found the boy as one of the few men along with her brother and a few other gods that she could stand. I've been training and protecting demigods on their way to the camps, Naruto explains. A white sphere of energy appears in his right hand before he disperses it, supporting his point. Why are you making a special case for the D'Angelos? Artemis interrogates, making Naruto smile and look toward the sky. Hey, Uncle H asked a favor, and I couldn't deny my favorite uncle and B. I would have came after them anyway, since they are powered demigods, Naruto explains before there is silence as they watch the group until Naruto opens his mouth. Don't ask Bianca to join the hunters. She has a brother that loves her, Naruto pleads, making Artemis scowl. She'll be happy with the hunters, Artemis argues, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Imagine if because of a choice you made, Apollo was sad for the rest of his immortal life, Naruto argues, making Artemis pause before sighing. Fine. Artemis says, causing Naruto to pump a fist in victory before they both jump down. He's always late during the winter, Artemis comments before looking toward the sky to see the sun getting closer, making all of the demigods close their eyes at the bright light, except for Artemis, who was a god in Naruto whose father's light was about 5 times brighter. Apollo is a handsome young man in his late teens, around 17 or 18, sandy hair, a bright cocky smile, and outdoorsy good looks. He is wearing a white, sleeveless t-shirt, blue jeans, and loafers. Behind him is a cherry red Maserati that is pretty much the ultimate chick magnet, but makes Naruto just roll his eyes. My Camaro is nicer, Naruto comments, making Apollo scowl. Shut up, Naruto, Apollo says before he walks over to Naruto. All of the demigods thought that he was going to blast Naruto to smithereens, but he grabs Naruto and gives him a big manly hug. How are you doing, brother? Apollo says as he holds his little brother figure. But Naruto says before punching Apollo hard in the stomach, making the sun god fall to the floor. That, you bastard, was for sending a hooker to my house on my birthday. Abby almost killed her then me. Naruto rants, causing Apollo to nod and slowly get up before sending Naruto a lecherous look, making Naruto kick him in the balls, causing him to crumple once more. Naruto turns toward Artemis and Zoe, who begrudgingly give him thumbs up. Apollo gets up once more, although a bit slower this time before Naruto looks at him then SOL. Do you still have the thing I gave you? Apollo asks, making Naruto nod and pull out his necklace to show the sun god, who nods. Do you want to race or are you going to let the miners fly? Naruto asks as he looks at SOL, making Apollo think for a moment. I let them drive, so I guess we'll meet you there, Apollo says, making Naruto nod before he pulls out a pair of keys. He hits the unlock button and throws them in front of him. Suddenly the keys expand into a beautiful black 1968 Camaro SS convertible which Naruto climbs into. Wait. What about us? Percy yells, making Naruto raise an eyebrow and juts his head toward SOL before starting up his car. Apollo's car has room. See you around, Artie, and be careful with SOL. I call dibs when Apollo gets old. Naruto says before hitting the accelerator. The car levitates until it is about 10 feet of the ground and shoots off into the air, a trail of white light behind him. Damn, that Hephaestus made copy. SOL is still nicer though, Apollo says before he morphs SOL into a typical minivan. He then turns around to the demigods with a sadistic grin before he opens his mouth. So? Who wants to drive? Naruto was leaning against his Camaro as he had just finished talking to Chiron, who was standing nearby, when he sees the sun approaching at a harsh angle before it manages to land and glide to a stop. Everyone slowly piles out, all looking like they had been on the world's worst roller coaster. Bianca, Annabeth, Zoe and the rest of the hunters got off, although they looked a little green, while Percy, Nico, Apollo and Thalia got off, wobbled and immediately threw up, making Naruto himself feel green. Once everyone recuperated, they walked up to Naruto and Chiron, who are holding in smirks. Lord Apollo, I hope the ride here was pleasant, Chiron says with a straight face, make Naruto burst out laughing as he couldn't hold it anymore, causing him to get glares from everyone. Who drove? Naruto asks, making Thalia raise a sheepish hand, causing Naruto to laugh. Really, Thalia? I thought we got rid of your fear of heights, Naruto says, causing Thalia to pout. Naruto had taught her how to fly and got rid of her fear by grabbing her around the waist and jumping off of the Grand Canyon only to land onto a cushion of light that Naruto created. Needless to say, Thalia chased him and threatened to castrate him with her spear. But it's still hard to drive. Thalia argues, making Naruto roll his eyes. Excuses, Naruto yells before he pats his car. Naruto then looks at Bianca and Nico and remembering what happened while Thalia was killing everyone in SOL. I was talking to your father and he wants you to bunk with me. Naruto announces, making everyone raise an eyebrow and have varying reactions. Bianca blushes crimson while Thalia and Annabeth's hands tighten into fists, something that did not go unnoticed by Chiron and Grover. Wait, you talk to our dad? We can stay with you? Nico and Bianca yell in unison before looking at each other. Yep, I'll be like a big brother. I can torture train you to be strong. Naruto says, making a mistake that causes Thalia, Annabeth and Grover shiver and Chiron smirk as they knew how horrible Naruto's training methods were. Where? Percy asks as there was no either cabin. Naruto snaps his fingers before a 3-story cabin shimmers into existence. It was made entirely of tinted windows that looked awesome. In my cabin. Done, Naruto says with a smile. Naruto then stops and looks into the distance for a second before turning to Chiron. Where's the nearest body of water? Naruto asks, causing the old centaur to think for a second. The lake behind Poseidon cabin, Chiron says, making Naruto nod. Jana. Naruto says before disappearing in a white flash. It means see ya in Japanese. Let's hurry up. Thalia and Annabeth yell in unison, knowing Naruto and sprinting off with everyone behind them, missing Apollo disappearing in a very similar yellow flash. Is anyone else confused on how he can teleport? Percy yells as they get close to his cabin. He can convert his body to light and reassemble himself wherever he wants, Thalia explains as they reach the Poseidon cabin. They run behind the cabin to see Naruto sitting Indian style. On top of the water. He has his hands in a strange position with one hand clasping the other. A white aura gathers around Naruto before he opens his eyes and slams the surface of the water. Summoning technique. Naruto yells and there is no immediate response, but suddenly there is a ripple in the middle of the lake. More ripples continues to propagate and get larger until they reach head height but seem to mysteriously miss Naruto. From the center of the ripples, a girl raises slowly from the water before opening her eyes and looking at everyone. The girl is petite with thick framed black glasses, as well as long light blue hair with black highlights. She has a heart-shaped face, pale skin and has sapphire blue eyes. She is wearing a light blue V-neck shirt that is tight against her C-cup breasts, a leather miniskirt, a silver charm bracelet on her left wrist, and a canteen with runes connecting to a strap on her left shoulder. She also has light blue and white striped stockings that match her shirt, a steel chain wrapping around her right inner thigh, and a leather jacket. Lastly, blue lipstick that enhanced her features. Overall, she was beyond words like beautiful, sexy and hot, with her almost godlike beauty. She looks at Naruto before raising a palm, and the water rises around her before shooting at Naruto in the form of a bird. Naruto jumps up and kicks the bird, making it turn back to water before he flips through a few hand seals before summoning a water dragon and shooting it at the girl who just stops it with a wave of her hand. She opens her canteen and out shoots a yellow liquid that flies at Naruto who just barely dodges it. It was good that he did, as when the liquid touched the water, it sizzled. She grabs her chain from her thigh and pulls, causing it to elongate and turn into a whip before she snaps it at Naruto. Instead of moving out of the way, Naruto lets it catch him and drag him toward the girl. "Naruto, why haven't you IM'd me this week?" the girl says as the visage of a demon appears behind her, making Naruto shudder. "I forgot she was like this. I still have nightmares of that one time when she was PMSing and a ghost called her fat." Naruto reminiscences before shuddering once more. "I was busy trying to track down these demigods," Abby Naruto pleads, causing Abby to smile happily and the chain to come off of Naruto. "Okay," Abby says, making Naruto sweat drop. People watching were doing the same thing as they watched the bipolar girl. Is that his girlfriend? Everyone was thinking, but in different contexts. The girls in jealousy, although they would never admit it, and the boys in envy at Naruto dating the hottest girl perhaps ever. Naruto puts his arm around the girl and they disappear in a flash before reappearing in front of the group. "Yo. Thanks for letting me use your lake," Naruto says, making everyone sweat drop, but Percy was confused about something. "How can you control water? Are you a daughter of Poseidon?" Percy asks, making Abby shake her head and draw some water from the air. "Nope. Only daughter of Pontus, primordial god of the sea," Abby exclaims as she lets the water flow through her fingers, solidifying it into ice every once in a while. "I thought Naruto was the only demi-primordial." Annabeth questions, making Abby smile widely before solidifying the water into a knife and throwing it at a tree across the lake, making an audible thud as it strikes the tree. "Nope," Abby says before walking away, everyone following closely behind. Suddenly Abby dissolves into mist and Naruto sighs before flashing away, leaving everyone confused at the lake. "I wonder if I could do that," Percy says as they walk back toward the camp. "So then I kicked Apollo in the balls," Naruto says, causing the pudgy man next to him to break out laughing. The man looked like a cherub that grew up and was drunk most of the time. His bloodshot eyes were in tears as he was laughing so hard at his big brother's pain. Naruto, Chiron and the man were at a table and playing a game of pinochle as Annabeth, Thalia and Percy walk into the big house. "Ah, Annabeth darling, what can we do for you?" Chiron asks, causing Annabeth to smile at her mentor. "Chiron, we need to gather the counselors in a meeting for the capture the flag game against the hunters," Annabeth suggests, causing the centaur to nod and stand up from his game. "Gather the counselors," Chiron says to Naruto, who nods and unseals a large gong from a scroll in his flak jacket. He gestures for everyone to cover their ears before he flashes outside and strikes the gong, sending a wave of sound to resonate from the large disc of bronze over the camp. After about a minute or so, at least one member of each cabin exits their cabins to look at Naruto and flip him the bird, making Naruto grin. "Counselors. Meeting in 10. Naruto yells, causing everyone to nod and go back into their cabins to inform their leaders. Naruto goes back inside to see the demigods looking at him with confusion on their faces. "Why do you have a gong?" Thalia asks the blonde-haired boy, who just raises an eyebrow. "Why don't you?" questions Naruto before he disappears in a flash, leaving the demigods once again questioning his sanity. All of the counselors, Naruto was the counselors of the primordial cabin that included him, Abby, Bianca and Naiko, were gathered in the small rec room with a large ping pong table in the middle. Naruto, while waiting for everyone, made a shadow clone and began to play ping pong. After a while, the game got competitive and both began to increase their speeds by augmenting their bodies with Koten chakra until they were blurs of light and the ping pong ball breaking the sound barrier after every hit. This continues until Naruto hit the ball too hard and it flew through the air, almost hitting Percy as he walked in before embedding itself in the wall next to him. "Hey!" Percy exclaims as he walks in, causing Clarice, Connor and Travis burst out in laughter, while everyone else really couldn't care less. Drew's filing her nails, Beckendorf is writing down a few notes on a weapon that Naruto had given him the idea for, and so on for the rest of the counselors. "My bad," Naruto replies, sheepishly, making the son of the sea god roll his eyes as Annabeth and Thalia walk in, making Naruto jump up. "Good. Everyone's here. Time to discuss capture the flag plans," Naruto says with enthusiasm not shared by anybody else. "We haven't won in 7 years against the hunters. Connor responds a little cynically, making Naruto grin. Who led you last time you won? Naruto says in return, all of the older campers reminiscing at the last time Naruto led them and how whatever team he was on in Capture the Flag won until Chiron told him he could no longer participate and stayed with Chiron and Dionysus during the game. Naruto claps his hands together, getting everyone's attention before leaning over the large map he placed early on the ping pong table. Charlie, you make some traps and lay them down ahead of time with Hermes' cabin's help. Something distracting like paint bombs. Make them orange. Naruto says with a sadistic smile, making Charles chuckle at his old friend's quirks. Lee, I want half of your cabin as medics and the other half on a rock wall surrounding the flag, Naruto instructs, causing Lee to raise an eyebrow. We don't have a rock wall there. The confused Lee asks as Kurama walks absently into the room and onto Naruto's head. Not yet. Wahahahahaha. Naruto asks while stroking Kurama's head like a psychopathic James Bond villain. You're an asshole, you know that. Kurama says, making Naruto flick him in the ear. What's the nearest asylum? Clarice whispers to Thalia, who laughs. Hey. Back to subject, Katie, can you cover the wall in thorns? Naruto asks the girl, who nods and blushes when Naruto flashes her a smile, something Thalia isn't pleased about. Okay. Percy, Thalia, Abby, Hermes' cabin and Ares' cabin will engage in open combat against the hunters. Percy, you get left side, stay by the lake, while Abby and Thalia will stay in the clearing, so Thalia has more space to swing, and Abby can use her devastating techniques, Naruto explains, making Annabeth nod at the plan before realizing something. What about you? Annabeth questioned Naruto as he looks at the map. I'll be the anti-Zo missile so you can take the flag while you're invisible, Naruto explains as he pets Kurama. Everyone looks at the map in awe at the plan before Annabeth breaks the silence. Why are you not a son of Athena? Annabeth asks, making Naruto smirk at the compliment. What can I say? I'm just that awesome. Naruto flatters himself, making everyone roll their eyes but jump when they hear him slam a three-pronged kunai into the table. Let's go, guys. We got a war tomorrow and I plan to win it. Naruto rallies, making everyone cheer and rush out of the small room to win the battle. Naruto was in the arena with Kurama, Abby and the D'Angelo siblings and was training them. To say they are prodigies would be an understatement. Naruto trained Naiko and Bianca in his mother's style, and Naiko had taken to it instantly. Naruto took out some of the Stygian iron Uncle Hades gave him and forged a 3-foot-long, pitch-black katana that looked a lot like a sword from one of Naruto's favorite mangas, Tensa's Zangetsu from Bleach. Naruto also forged 2 hooks made of Stygian iron and Naruto's own might and chakra that are chained together that focus Naiko's godly powers. Naiko's skills and willingness to take almost suicidal risks made him formidable to swordsmen of Naruto's caliber. Naruto tested them both on their affinities to their father's domains and found out that Naiko inherited his father's control over death and a unique affinity to hellfire, something none of Hades' other children has ever received. Bianca could control gems, but unique to her like her brother, she could control her bones much like the Kagaya in the nations. Bianca, unlike her brother however, did not take to the sword, and when Naruto tested her to see what weapon she was tuned towards, he was surprised to find the staff was what she was comfortable with. As such, Naruto forged her a weapon made of Stygian iron as well, a 6-foot staff with another rod bisecting it, making it look like a cross. It was reinforced and enhanced with Fuinjutsu so that it was incredibly strong and light enough for her to wield. Whoa. Naruto yells as he dodges a sword coated in black flames, aiming to bisect him before he performs a backflip to avoid being skewered by several bones. When Naruto lands, he attempts to jump away from Abby's water whip only for his ankle to be grabbed by a skeleton hand. Abby then draws out acid, Bianca holds out her fingertips, and Naiko in a Kamehameha stance as Naruto calls it before they all shoot something at Naruto, bone bullets from Bianca, a jet of acid from Abby, and a Kamehameha blast of black fire from Naiko. Damn it. Naruto yells before getting fed up and coating his body in mitin, instantly disintegrating the attacks on impact. Naruto then draws a light sword and dashes forward, meeting Naiko halfway. They are at a standoff until the light sword doubles in size Naiko, making the young son of Hades to jump back to avoid being cut, but isn't fast enough to avoid a kick to the chest, sending him flying backwards. Bianca takes his place instantly and goes for a swing of her staff which Naruto dodges, only to have to flash away when the staff swings at him again. Naruto then reaches up to his neck and grabs his pendant, a clear rod that reflects light, and pulls, causing it to transform into a handle made out of a white metal. Naruto then charges the handle with mitin, causing a large blade made of blacklight, sparking to life out of the hilt. Naruto. A voice yells, knocking Naruto out of his groove and making him turn around to see Thalia, Annabeth, Percy and Grover walk into the field. Naruto sends his charges and Abby a look which they respond with a nod and understanding. What? Naruto complains as he pulls the energy from his sword and begins beating up a punching dummy while his integrators gather around him. How have you been doing for the past 7 years? Annabeth asks while Naruto unloads combos at speeds that Percy can barely follow. Training and protecting demigods, Naruto says before kicking the head off the dummy. How did you become the guardian of demigods as you called it? Annabeth asks once more, making Naruto flash next to Thalia and put his arm around her shoulders. I made a deal with Lightning Princess's dad, Naruto responds, making Thalia blush at the nickname, something her friends didn't miss, and for the sky to thunder. Apparently Zeus didn't like people flirting with his daughter. Zeus, why have you called us here? Hera asks as her and the rest of the council enter the council room. We are here to discuss the demigod Naruto Uzumaki, Namikaze, Zeus says as he sits on his platinum throne. He has shoulder-length black hair and electric blue eyes just like his daughter, Thalia. He is wearing a dark pinstripe business suit as he sits with perfect posture on his throne. Oh Naruto. The dude's cool. Him and I do archery together. Apollo says as he lounges on his chair and tinkers with an iPod. If he can practice archery with the god of archery, then he is much stronger than the average demigod. Not to mention he is the son of a primordial and champion of the creator of the universe, Zeus says to himself, but everyone hears and ponders it until Hermes remembers something. He won't stay at camp for much longer. He gets antsy when he gets bored, Hermes adds, making Hera think for a second. How about we get him to work with us? What is he passionate about? Hera asks, making Apollo think for a few seconds. His father always told him that those who break the rules are scum, that's true, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. As such he is very protective of his family and demigods in general, Apollo explains, causing Zeus to pause. Call him, and Zeus instructs, causing Apollo to nod and throw a three-pronged kunai into the floor. Naruto appears in a white flash, dressed in his usual outfit in front of the king of the gods. Yo Lord Zeus, how's it Hanjin? Naruto asks, making Zeus's jaw clench and for him to pick up the Master Bolt, but a glare from Hera makes him put it down. The Olympians would like to offer you a position to work with us, Hera offers, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. You're offering me a job? Naruto asks with confused look. Yes, as the guardian of demigod, Zeus finishes, catching on to what his wife was saying. What? Naruto exclaims in shock. You can go around the country and protect demigods on their way to Camp Half-Blood in Camp Jupiter, Zeus explains, his form momentarily switching to Jupiter. Naruto had found out about Camp Jupiter from his father and had agreed not to tell the Greeks about the Romans, and vice versa. Naruto takes in his options for a bit before he sighs and opens his mouth. Okay, I'll do it. Where have you been the last 7 years? Annabeth questions, making Naruto grin. Places, Naruto responds before flashing away, sending Thalia into a stormy rage. Bastard. Thalia screams before punching a dummy, shattering it instantly. Thalia then turns toward Abby, who is currently going through the fluid motions of a style that flowed like water. Who are you? Thalia questions, making Abby stop and look at her. We've been over this, the name's Abby. Abby comments before crossing her arms, unintentionally pushing up her assets. Thalia and Annabeth notice this and huff angrily at the girl, while the boys have to look away to hide their blushes. Are you dating Naruto? Thalia asks, a bit angrily, not that she would admit it. So what if I am? What you going to do about it, Lightning Princess? Abby says, trying to rile up Thalia to see if she was like how Naruto said she was. And sure enough, he was right. You soggy little bitch. Thalia responds back, remembering Abby's water abilities. You're just upset that Naruto chose me over your punk ass. Abby responds, having fun annoying the girl. You probably seduced him with how slutty you dress. Thalia responds, and that was when shit hit the fan. Never. Ever. Call. Abby. The S-word. Let's do this, bitch. Abby yells before lunging at Thalia, but is caught by Naruto mid-jump. Whoa. Break it up. I heard you from the other side of camp. By the way, the kids are asking what bitches and sluts are, so thanks a lot, Naruto scolds, breaking the atmosphere. It's okay, Naruto. I'll make it up to you later, Abby responds with a seductive lick of her lips, making Naruto sigh at the pervertedness of his girlfriend and her bipolar behavior. Thalia was steaming from her ears listening to the soggy slut flirt with Naruto, while Grover and Percy were crimson at the implications. Let's go. We got to win tomorrow, Naruto says, making everyone nod and walk away eager to win tomorrow's game. Naruto then flashes away with Abby dissolving into mist and Bianca and Naiko shadow travel. Watch out, Annie. Naruto yells before cutting an arrow that almost hit her. The game started 10 minutes ago and his plan has gone perfectly. 3 hunters were covered in paint before stuck in a celestial bronze net, and no hunter had got within 50 feet of the flag, as the best archers in the Apollo cabin stood on the top of a wall of earth and shot any hunter who came close. So how are you going to make an earth wall? We have only 10 minutes, Lee comments as he looks at his father's position in the sky, while noticing that the sun is moving faster than normal, most likely due to having to drag the moon chariot as well. Give me 10 seconds, Naruto responds before flashing through hand seals and slamming his foot into the ground. Around them raises a 15-foot wall of earth that completely surrounded the flag, making Lee's jaw drop. Wow, was Lee could say before he looks at the blonde who just flashes him a foxy grin. Naruto ducks under a slice of a dagger and kicks the hunter in the stomach. He then summons his bow by rubbing his ring and draws an arrow from his quiver. As he lets go, the arrowhead opens and shoots a net that secures the hunter to a tree. Another jumps down to take her place, but Naruto flashes behind her and hits the back of her neck, knocking her out. Go invisible and stay quiet or Zo will hear you, Naruto instructs, making Annabeth nod and put on her cap, becoming invisible. Naruto walks into the clearing where he sees the flag, and only due to his ninja instincts does he jump out of the way in time to dodge an arrow. Naruto then draws an arrow and charges it with green light, he then lets it loose on instinctively. The arrow intercepts Zo's own and slices it down the middle, causing her to have to jump down from her position or be skewered. Zo lands and rushes Naruto, who just stands there and simply leans to the side to dodge her punch. This continues until Naruto puts up his hand and grabs her punch. He then turns and flips her over his shoulder, but she lands on her back and kicks him over with her momentum. Naruto goes flying but lands in a roll and reaches for his belt. He draws a kunai and throws it at Zo, who dodges it, but that distraction gave Naruto enough time to summon his bow and draw an arrow. He quickly shoots it, and mid-aid the tip transforms into a flat rectangular block, sparking with electricity. It hits the distracted huntress, and the thousands of volts of electricity in the arrow enters Zo's body and electrocutes Zo, causing her to convulse for a few seconds. Naruto quickly draws another arrow and shoots it. Mid-flight, it splits down the middle and becomes two arrows with a cable in between them that when it hits Zo, wraps around her, securing her in celestial bronze wire. Annabeth appears next to her with flag in hand, making Zo glare and lunge at her only to fall over. "Let's go, Annabeth," Naruto yells before grabbing the blonde girl around the waist and Zo before flashing away, over the boundary line. There is a roar of approval when they see Naruto and Annabeth with the flag and Zo restrained. "Congratulations, my boy, you have broken the streak," Chiron congratulates before gesturing for Zo to be freed. Naruto draws his handle and puts a little white light in it, making a dagger blade before cutting the celestial bronze wire. Zo stands up and was about to yell at Naruto when there a large gasp. She's never left the attic before. Chiron's odd voice rings out as the oracle walks toward them. Zo bows and stands before it, but it just walks past her and in front of Naruto, before spewing green mist that takes the form of Aether. "7 shall go west to the goddess in chains, a companion and partner will be gained," Naruto's father says in a voice unlike his own, before Aether shifts to Naruto's mother, Kushina. Kushina stayed in the underworld with her best friend Persephone and was enjoying staying at home instead of fighting. The Bane of Olympus shows the trail, campers and hunters combined prevail, Kushina recites before shifting again. "The Titan's curse one must withstand, to face the past or die on cursed land," Kakashi says in a rhyme before giving Naruto an eye smile. He then melts into green mist, and that goes back into the oracle's mouth, who then falls forward, lifeless. Naruto falls to his knees in shock before looking at the wise centaur in front of him. "Counselors, Zo, rec room. Now," Naruto yells before flashing away, the camp in silence before everyone began rushing back to camp. Naruto is sitting on a chair and anxiously playing a riff on a silver Stratocaster when all of the counselors and Zo rush in. Thalia and Chiron stop for a sec to admire the signature riff from AC/DC's Back in Black before everyone sits down. He stands up and places his hand on the table, his guitar hanging across his back from a strap. "So, I have a quest," Naruto says while tuning his sixth string, avoiding everyone's eyes which were being rolled. "The hunters must go. The oracle says Lady Artemis is in danger." Zo yells before stabbing her knife into the ping-pong table. "You can't leave without Naruto, the oracle gave him the quest. Besides, campers and hunters combined prevail, therefore campers must go as well," Chiron points out, making Zo sit down. Chiron then looks around to see some of the campers considering volunteering for the quest. "It will be dangerous and there could be deaths," Chiron says, making some of the overconfident campers rethink everything. "Oh goody," Dionysus comments innocently. Pinot Noir is making a comeback." "Don't mind me," Dionysus explains while reading his wine connoisseur magazine, making everyone look at him and Naruto roll his eyes at his uncle figure's antics. "I guess I'll take Abby, Zo and Phoebe. Grover too," Naruto says before browsing over the rest of the campers. Charles wouldn't want to go, neither would Selena or Katie, he didn't need Lee as they had 2 archers and himself on the quest. "You need 2 more people," Chiron reminds Naruto, who nods and looks around once more before he turns around when he hears, "I'm going," from Thalia. Naruto nods as Thalia would be a good close quarters fighter, and they needed another. Naruto turns around once more before stopping on Percy. "And?" Jackson, Naruto says, making Percy smile, unlike Zo who had the exact opposite reaction. Naruto knew he should choose the boy as he was a good fighter, even if a bit untrained, and he knew that if he didn't choose him, the boy would. "I refuse to go with that boy," Zo argues. Sorry Zo, but I chose Naruto, says, making Zo grab her knife a little harder. Fine, Zo admits begrudgingly, Thalia's smirk just making it worse. We leave at first light, Naruto announces, making everyone nod, and Chiron adjourns the meeting so that everyone could get ready. The next day, Zo, Phoebe, Grover and Thalia were standing at the base of Half-Blood Hill and were waiting for the rest of their team when they see Percy walk up the hill to meet them. The only difference. Where are they? Zo says angrily before glaring at the campers. Everyone looks over the hill until they see a mop of silver and blue. There they are, Thalia comments before taking a look at Naruto and Abby. Abby looks the exact same as she did before, but instead of her canteen, she had a purse, and she now had a belt going around her waist that held a blue katana. The katana was blue and had a weird hilt that looked like angel wings, but most noticeably to someone who looked close enough was that the hilt was screwed tight to the sheath. Naruto is wearing the same things underneath, but traded in the hooded cloak for a white hoodie. Most noticeably, however, he had a few new weapons. Strapped to his waist was an extremely long sword that was as long as him that seemed impossible for him to draw. Naruto had one more weapon, and it was a simple black katana that had a solid Stygian iron sheath and was strapped to his belt in the Edo style. Naruto then makes the long sword turn into a ring which he slips onto right index finger across from his bow ring and next to 2 rings on his thumbs, while the katana turns into a silver chain bracelet. Compensating for something? Grover comments, making Naruto roll his eyes and give a small laugh. Naruto has nothing to compensate for. Abby responds, making Naruto and the rest of the group go crimson, well, except for the hunters who just roll their eyes at the immaturity. Why do you have so many weapons? Percy asks, referencing the many weapons that Naruto had on him. Why do you only have one weapon? What if you get disarmed? Or your weapon is effective against your opponent? Naruto questions, making Percy close his mouth with an audible click, while Zo's jaw momentarily clenched at the mention of Percy's weapon, something that did not go unnoticed by Naruto. Thalia then notices the sword on Abby's hip and remembers that she has never used one before. You can use a sword? Thalia asks the blue-haired girl. Duh, my boyfriend is the second greatest swordsman in the world, so of course I know how to use one, Abby responds before turning the sword into her blue bracelet. That statement only raised more questions. Let's go. Naruto yells before pulling out his keys and hitting the unlock button. It once again shifts into his Camaro, and Naruto slides into the front seat with Abby quickly grabbing shotgun. Can it fit us? Percy questions, making Naruto nod and open the door for them to see. The back seat was like a limo, large leather seats that could easily fit 10 people. There were several TV screens, a mini fridge and even a computer. Yeah. The car is bigger on the inside than the outside, Naruto responds with a foxy grin. Grover smiles and leaps in next to the fridge, with the rest of the group following begrudgingly. As Percy sits down and grabs a pack of chips, he realizes something. You could have fit us before. Percy complains, making Naruto roll his eyes and turn on the heat and the radio. It turns on to Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, making Naruto fake gag, before he changes it to the classic rock channel, which is playing Livin' on a Prayer. I could have, but I didn't want throw up in my car, which is why we are driving on the ground and not flying, Naruto says before pressing on the gas, sending them flying forward and out of the camp. As they go from 0 to 70 in 4 seconds, the chorus of the song blasts. Grab on guys, because we're gonna be living on a prayer, Naruto exclaims before activating his LSE or light speed engine, sending them shooting down the road a few hundred miles per hour. Why? We're halfway there, woo. Livin' on a prayer, take my hand, we'll make it, I swear, why? Livin' on a prayer, Naruto sings along while everyone sit down and get ready, humming along to themselves. 5 hours had passed and everyone had fallen asleep except for Thalia, who was leaning in over one of the seats into the front seat. So fish cake, where have you been? Thalia asks, making Naruto roll his eyes and begin to regret that he told Thalia the alternate meaning of his name. I told you already, Lightning Princess. I've been places, Naruto responds, making Thalia clench her jaw in frustration. What kind of places? She reaches and Naruto was about to give another annoying answer when he feels something. He focuses for a few seconds before sending a pulse of white light out, and as it comes back, he stiffens. What's that? Everyone up. Naruto yells before hitting the horn. Everyone shoots up and draw their weapons to see the potential threat. To see there was none. What the hell? Percy yells as he rubs his eyes, and Naruto is driving more like a maniac than normal. We have to go to the Smithsonian, Naruto explains, making Grover, Abby, Zo and Phoebe extend their senses before their eyes widen. What is it? Thalia asks the hunters. There is a dark aura in the museum, Phoebe says simply while Naruto turns the wheel, sending them into a drift. They drift for about 20 feet before they land in a perfect parallel park. Naruto jumps out of the car quickly and flashes up the stairs and into the museum. Naruto enters the museum to see a large man in a business suit and Luke Castellan. Naruto grits his teeth and throws a kunai at Luke, who just barely catches it. Luke looks at the 3-pronged design with confusion before remembering who used them. Luke growls before our blonde protagonist walks out in front of them. Aluki, you're all grown up. No more pimples or asking me Abu. Naruto teases, making Luke go red. Bastard. Luke yelled before drawing backbiter and slicing at Naruto, who draws his kataches from his back. He then blocks the strike with X block, looking the fellow blonde in the eyes. This stare-down continues until they hear Naruto's group enter, which is when Naruto kicks Luke in the chest and draws his bow. He creates 4 arrows made of light and launches them, catching Luke on each arm and each leg, slamming him into a wall. Naruto puts away his bow and snaps his fingers. His rings on his thumbs shift into 2 oversized pistols. "Meet my girls, Jessica and Adeline," Naruto says before hoisting up the guns to show everyone. They are oversized pistols that are at least 10 inches long, quite rectangular in design, and they each have 2 barrels and 2 triggers. They were both semi-automatic and close to identical except for their designs. Jessica is the white pistol with a black line and gold alpha, and Adeline is black with a white line and gold omega. Their unique design makes it seem as if it doesn't have a pistol slide, however, the entire upper assembly is the slide and moves only a minimal distance compared to other guns, making it appear as if there is no pistol slide. "They will be your downfall, goodbye Luke," Naruto says before pressing all 4 triggers, before suddenly shifting his target to hit a Draken in the head with all 4 Stygian iron 13mm rounds. Luke takes this momentary distraction to rip his shirt and pants and get away from the wall. The general watches all of this with interest before his javelin that was leaning by the wall and swiping with it, ripping a portal. "I'll see you soon, son of Aether." "Oh, have fun with my pet," the general says before grabbing Luke and jumping into the portal. Didn't know he could do that, Naruto thinks to himself before his thoughts were broken by a roar. Naruto turns around to see the Nemean lion in all its glory. It was the size of a pickup truck and had fur the color of celestial bronze. Its claws were the size of daggers and the color of Naruto's hair. The lion gives out a roar that shakes everything before it set its eyes on Naruto. "Move." Naruto yells before jumping away when the lion lunges at him. Zoe and Phoebe begin unloading arrows at it, but they all bounce off its hide. Naruto takes a couple shots, but they bounce off as well. Try armor-piercing arrows. Naruto hears Phoebe yell before he draws an arrow from his quiver that had an odd-looking tip. He shoots the arrow, but it bounces off as well. They don't work. Naruto yells while shooting arrows. He then stops and checks his weapons before grinning. "I have an idea, distract him." Naruto yells before rubbing his ring, summoning his Nadachi. He kneels onto the floor and places the Nadachi across his lap before he takes a kunai and cuts his palm. He then rubs it across the hilt, watching as the blood absorbs into the hilt before he stands up. "Accept my offering." Roar, Akami. Naruto yells before he draws the Nadachi from its scabbard. The blade phases through the sheath, and Naruto holds the blade in front of him. The blade is 6 feet long, but was strange as it had no tip. "What the hell? That's what we're waiting for. This is Akami, the sword given to me by Amaterasu, the fated Shinto god. It can cut through anything, even the Nemean lion's fur." Naruto yells as he disappears in a flash only to reappear to slash the lion across its back. "Holy crap." Percy yells before dodging a swipe of the wounded lion. "Now what?" Thalia asks. "Time to skin me a lion." Naruto yells before stabbing his blade into the ground and forming a familiar cross sign with his fingers. 3 clones of Naruto pop into existence, and they all turn on their tengans, begin to flash through hand signs before one finishes early. "Hakazan. Flower Fruit Mountain." Naruto clone numero uno announces before slamming his palm into the floor. He focuses on his energy and forms it into lava before forming a volcano that spews magma onto the lion. The Nemean lion screams in pain due to be covered in lava. "Haze no Ken. Blade of Wind." Naruto clone number 2 yells before coating his hand in wind chakra before making a slicing motion. A gust of wind flies and then strikes the lion, making it cry out and shake off the magma, distracted for enough time for the final clone to finish. Hokage Shiki Jijin Jutsu Kakuin Nitten Sushu. Hokage style 60-year-old technique Kakuin entering society with bliss-bringing hands. Naruto clone number 3 finishes before palm out, which gains the kanji for sit. 10 pillars with spike rays from the ground and surrounds the lion, who cannot move. Naruto flashes 10 feet into the air and positions Akami so it is lined with the lion's head. "Die." Naruto yells before stabbing straight through its cranium. The lion goes wide eyes before falling to the side and disappearing in gold dust, leaving only a white leather jacket and a pair of fingerless gloves. They were leather and had the visage of a lion head on the back. "Dibs on the jacket." Naruto yells before taking off his hoodie and throwing it at Percy, who catches it. Naruto slips on the jacket and it shifts to fit him perfectly. He pulls out a kunai and cuts the jacket, and he is surprised when it didn't cut through. "Cool," Naruto comments while brushing his shoulders off before he bends down and grabs the gauntlets. "Here, water boy," Naruto says while throwing the leather gloves to Percy, who catches it barely and slips them on. They then suddenly shrink to fit Percy, perfectly causing him to flex his wrists to get used to it. "It'll be good to have another weapon." Make a fist, Naruto says, making Percy do as Naruto say, only to be surprised when the gloves turn into steel gauntlets. Whoa. Percy says, making Naruto smile before looking at his watch to see the time. Let's go. We spent a lot of time here, Naruto says before rushing out the door, his team following him out, all ready to save a goddess. Knife does not own Naruto or Percy Jackson, they belong to their respective authors. As the group runs down the stairs to the car, Naruto stops when he sees a familiar face. The man has silver gravity-defying hair and is wearing a similar outfit to Naruto, but his jacket and pants are green and blue, respectively. He has a headband with a spiral leaf design crossing his face and covering one eye, while the other eye is focused on an orange book in his hand. Hakan-ai, why are you here? Naruto asks as he sits down on the steps, facing man. Aheo, Ataudo. Kakashi says in Japanese, but Naruto shakes his head. English please, Naruto asks before jutting his head toward the rest of the quest. Yo, Kakashi says in a deep Japanese accent. Why are you here, brother? Naruto asks, making the group raise eyebrows. Who is this dude? Percy asks, making everyone shake their heads as they didn't know. They both have silver hair, but I don't think they are related, Grover points out, making Kakashi turn his one eye to them and disappear in a shunshin, only to reappear with his arm around Thalia. Oh, is this my new little sister? Kakashi asks, making Thalia go red. He would have did that to Abby, but he had already met her, and those other girls looked much scarier. Bastard. Thalia yells and tries to punch the man who just shunshins back to where he was before and has his hands on his chin in a thinking pose. Which are you going to choose, this one, the hothead, the blue-haired one, the British one, or the girl with the big hips? Kakashi asks with his signature eye smile, making Abby and Thalia turn at him in rage and Naruto regretting he ever IM'd the Cyclops. Why are you here? Naruto asks in frustration, making Kakashi's eye smile drop and his face turn grim. Okajima is dead. Kakashi responds. There is silence before Naruto punches the stair, cracking the marble. Who did it? Naruto asks the man who just looks toward the sky. Orochimaru, Kakashi responds, making Naruto's eyes flash to his Tengen before he stands up and walks down the stairs. I'll be there soon. Tell Iro Sennin that we'll take him together. He's not strong enough, physically or emotionally, Naruto says over his shoulder to the Jonin, who nods and reaches into his pouch. Okay. He said to give you these to you, Kakashi says before handing the boy two things. One was an orange book, the same one that Kakashi was just reading, but as Naruto feels the book, he knew it was Gigi's. He looks at the other thing, and it was only then he starts to tear. It was a simple metal plate that was engraved with a spiral leaf symbol like Kakashi's, however the metal was worn and slightly rusted. Naruto places it on his belt buckle so that he would always show the world that the will of fire burned in him. Naruto wipes the tears and gets inside of the car. I got to go save a goddess. John and Naruto says to the fellow silver-haired man, who nods and disappears. Let's go, guys. Naruto yells before everyone breaks out their trance and jump into the car. Who was that dude? Grover asks Naruto, who keeps his eyes on the road. My brother, Naruto responds. Seriously, who was that? Thalia asks, not taking no for an answer. His name is Kakashi Haddock and he is my brother figure, Naruto begrudgingly responds. Who is this Hokage-sama? Zoe asks as she and Phoebe pull out another quiver of arrows from their magical backpacks. He's my grandfather. Naruto yells and punches the dashboard in rage. I'll kill him. I'll cut off that damn snake's head and burn it in the flames of Amaterasu. He yells in anger but stops when Abby places a hand on his shoulder. Don't fall into it, Abby calms him, reminding him of his oath never to fall into the curse of hatred. I'm okay, Naruto responds. Who were those other girls? Thalia asks with a sadistic grin, making Naruto groan and turn to Abby, who was playing with a knife. Yeah, Naruto. Who were those other girls? Abby asks, making the visage of the Shinigami return. Hey Percy, Grover, you want to read this book? Naruto asks to change the subject before handing the boy the Bible of the Icha God. Grover and Percy read the first page and their faces go so red. Oh my god. Percy yells before both boys pass out as their virgin minds could not take it. Naruto reaches behind and grabs the book before Thalia, or gods forbid, the hunters read it. That's what I thought would happen. We need to get to a subway station, they know my car. Naruto comments as he looks out the window to see a helicopter looking for them. Naruto quickly hits the LSE and phases through the other cars onto the exit ramp. As soon as he sees a subway station, he ushers everyone out of the car when he sees a bunch of skeletons with weapons coming at them. Damn Spartus. Everyone go. Naruto yells before drawing his two katakes and holding them toward the warriors. No. We won't leave you. Thalia yells, but Naruto was already running towards the skeletons, swords out. I'll catch up. Naruto yells as he rolls in between the legs of a skeleton and kicking it in the back, pushing off of him and stabbing another skeleton through the chest. You better. Thalia yells before they rush down the stairs into the subway. Your attraction to that boy will delay this quest, Zoe comments as they go through the doors into the train car. Attraction. Thalia yells and tries to lunge for the black-haired girl, but Percy holds her back. They sit in awkward silence for a few seconds, everyone doing their separate things. Zoe and Phoebe were sharpening arrowheads, Percy, Thalia and Grover were making casual conversation, while Abby was thinking before her eyes widen. That bastard. Abby yells, making the rest of the quest team look up and speak of the devil. Guess you flashed in. I'll give you 3 guesses, but you only need 1. I hate the undead, Naruto comments before he gets punched in the stomach by Abby. You are in love with her. That bitch. Abby yells, making Naruto hold his hands in front of his groin to protect any damaging shots that even Kurama couldn't regenerate. Abby. I can explain. Naruto argues. I know about the river of love crap and I accepted that when he confirmed it, but her. She's a bitch. Abby yells, making Naruto glad they were the only ones in the train car. Zoe raises an eyebrow when she hears River of Love. The River of Love was a river of love energy that was controlled by Eros, and it was only due to Eros changing the course of the river that Artemis was allowed to never get married. Lame chaos, Naruto argues, but by now the rest of the questing party was interested. Naruto was sort of an enigma even to Thalia and Grover, who knew him the best. He was incredibly strong and had such a mysterious past that no one really know about. Who is she? Grover asks while using his fingers as quotation marks when he said she. Her name is Sadie Kane, and she is an Egyptian demigod, Naruto answers, making Percy get a shocked look. There's no such thing. Percy argues, but Zoe shakes her head. They are correct. There are actually several major pantheons of gods, however most are on different parts of the world. Several of the major pantheons have faded recently, such as the Norse, Shinto and Egyptian, although I heard the Egyptian are just in hiding, Zoe explains, making Naruto subconsciously pull out a pen from his back pocket, something that did not go unnoticed by Thalia, who began to wonder what that pen was. Before she could ask him, the doors open and Naruto walks out onto a cold street near a freight yard. As soon as they walk out, they begin shivering. It's so cold. It's so cold. Percy manages as they walk, making Naruto look around. Maybe they'll share, Naruto says before pointing at 2 men. One was a bundled up homeless man, his features hidden by a hood and seated in front of a fire. A partially toothless smile was sent in the teen's direction. The other looked similar with the hood of his jacket up, ripped jeans showing pale skin as he rubs his palms together over the fire. The first man reached out with a wrinkled hand and patted a stray newspaper as well as the ground. Come on and join me, kiddies, plenty o' room round the fire. He said with a whistling voice. Gee, great. Grover exclaimed with a chatter as he sat down on the man's right. My hhuvza ass shaking. Grover comments, not realizing what he said. Feet. Percy hastily corrected as he took a seat next to his friend. Naruto sat next to him, followed by Thalia, then Phoebe, and finally Zoe took the spot closest to the homeless man's left. This is great, Phoebe complained with a shiver as she bundled up in her cloak. Where are you kids heading? The second man says before looking at Naruto. His eyes were an unnaturally bright blue identical to Naruto's own, making Naruto get a small grin. Heading west, old man, Naruto responds, making the first man smile and cock his head toward a freight train that said Sunwest Line. Thanks, Naruto said before standing up with his team following. What's your names? Percy asks the men who smile. Fred responds, making Naruto roll his eyes. Hikari responds, making Naruto internally face palm and walk away. They enter the train to find it stuffed with 3 stories of expensive cars that makes Naruto want to facepalm once again. Everyone splits up, with Zoe and Phoebe sharing a Lexus on top deck, while Grover played race car driver behind the wheel of a Lamborghini. Thalia had hotwired a radio of a black Mercedes SLK and was sharing it with Abby, most likely to have some girl talk and get some info on him. Naruto climbs up and unlocks the door on black 2015 Corvette Z06. He slips inside and leans the chair back before closing his eyes, although he knew the night would be eventful. Naruto wakes up when he hears a door opens next to him and in walks Hikari. As soon as he enters, he switches back to his native form with his hair turning silver and going down to his waist. Really? Hikari? You're lucky they don't know Japanese, Naruto scolds. Hikari in Japanese was light, which made it quite obvious who he was. Whatever, either responds with a roll of his eyes as he reclines his seat to lay down. Why are you here? Naruto asks. Just to let you know that Sadie plans to meet you in here. I got it, shrunk, either says before throwing a pen to Naruto, who catches it. Naruto stops for a moment before looking at his father. Why are you really here? Naruto questions. I talked to Kakashi. Soon they will need you in the nations. Orochimaru and Danzo are making their moves, and they might just succeed if they get their hands on Sasuke Uchiha. Not to mention the Konoha Council have no idea what to do without a cage. I refuse to go back, gods forbid Jiraiya and Kakashi become Hokage, which leaves only Tsunade. Either explains, making Naruto roll his eyes at the mention of Sasuke Uchiha. You want me to go to help? Naruto asks. No, it's okay. Aether responds. There is silence and they both knew what the elephant in the car was. I can't believe Gigi's dead, Naruto admits, making Aether nod. He was getting old, Aether respond, causing Naruto punches his palm in rage. I'll kill him, Naruto responds, his eyes turning red with 3 black commas. You're not an Uchiha. My son will not be an Avenger, Aether scolds, making the tomos in Naruto's eyes spin. I am an Uchiha. Naruto responds adamantly, but Aether cuts him off. You are not Uchiha, Aether argues, his blue eyes turning purple and ripples appearing in his eyes. His spiky bangs in the front extend upwards, looking like horns. I am an Otsutsuki, so by extension, I am an Uchiha, and so are you. But I follow my brother's legacy, not the clan's. Indra and Asura are the men I strive to be, not Obito or Madara, Naruto responds, his own eyes turning purple, and have 9 tomos. The progenitor of Chakra and his third son stare each other in the eyes before they both change their eyes back to their natural piercing blue. There is silence before Aether remembers something. I visited the nations last week and I was ashamed on how the Jinchuriki are being treated, Aether says with a serious look on his face. The Biju were the children of Aether when he was Hagoromo. He was enraged when his children were being sealed into others as weapons, and he almost went down there and did a fury row on all of their asses when he saw how they treated the Jinchuriki. So when he went down there last week, he did something rash, but he didn't regret it. What did you do? Naruto questions, making Aether reach into his shinobi pouch. Here. This should help, Aether says before handing Naruto a bracelet with 9 kanjis, 8 shining, and the 9th, which is the kanji for 9, was dull. Naruto looks at it before looking at his father. Seriously? Naruto says with a roll of his eyes, making that a sheepish look to go back to his father's face. Aether smiles for a bit before he looks at the watch. I must go, goodbye my son, Aether says to his son. I pops, Naruto says, making his father nod and disappear in a flash. Naruto sits there thinking for a bit when he hears his door open once more to see Fred. Yo Apollo. Naruto says to himself, making Apollo facepalm. Hey. I'm incognito. Apollo argues like a 5-year-old. Whatever, Naruto says with a roll of his eyes. I need to go, but I wanted to let you know that you can take the car by touching the lock button once you get out. I also wanted to give you this, Apollo says before handing Naruto a box. When Naruto looks at it closely, he finds that it is a box of 1,000. Fun times. Bastard. Naruto yells before he draws a kunai on the god. Aphrodite gave me your size. You'll thank me one day, Apollo says before flashing away when Naruto throws a kunai at his head. Asshole. Naruto yells in his head before Naruto leans back in his chair and he falls asleep. Naruto wakes up when he feels the train stop moving. He looks around his car to see a note next to him. Naruto reads the note and immediately goes crimson when he reads it. He gets out of the car and presses the lock button, making the Corvette Z06 shrinks down to a pair of keys, which Naruto puts into his pocket next to his Camaro keys. Wake up guys. We gotta go. Naruto yells, making everyone jump down. Zoe and Phoebe are the first to jump down, and they begin to stretch to loosen their stiff muscles. Thalia and Abby are the next to jump down, and Naruto notices that they are holding hands. As soon as Thalia sees Naruto, she blushes red, making Naruto give Abby the "what did you tell her?" look. So what did you want to talk about? Abby asks as she slides next to Thalia in the passenger seat. Thalia sighs before lowering the music on her hot-wired radio. I'm sorry Abby, but I'm in love with Naruto, Thalia confesses before looking up to see Abby uncaring. Okay was all that Abby says in response. That's it? Thalia asks in confusion. She had just told the blue-haired girl that she was in love with her boyfriend and all she said was okay. Naruto once talked to Eros, the primordial god of love, and he told Naruto about the river of love, Abby explains, making Thalia raise an eyebrow. The river of what? Thalia asks. The river of love is a mass of energy controlled by Eros and the fates. It connects everyone to someone they are meant to be with for the rest of their lives, Abby explains, making Thalia stop and think before making a connection to something else. Soulmates? Thalia questions, making Abby nod. Exactly, and in some people's case, the fates think that they need extra support, so they make a few people fall in love. Abby says. Also, so no one gets jealous of each other, eventually the girls will fall in love with each other, Abby continues. And one of those people are me? Thalia asks. Yes, Naruto will one day fall in love with 5 people. Me, you and that girl I mentioned before, Sadie, I know for sure are 3 of them. Abby explains, not knowing that on the other side of the train, Apollo was giving Naruto a gift to please the girls. Fine. What about the last 2 girls? Thalia asks, making Abby shrug. Naruto won't tell me, but I have a feeling I know who they are, Abby says, making Thalia pause before leaning her chair back. I need to think this over. Good night, Thalia says before closing her eyes, hoping to have a night of sleep without dreams of the spiky silver-haired boy. But if she had to have one, she hopes he was naked like last time. Rover and Percy jumps down next. When Naruto looks at Percy, he sees a very similar blush on his face. Aphrodite and Apollo? Naruto asks, making the water-wielding demigod nod. Thalia and Abby look at Naruto with a bit of frustration as they didn't trust Aphrodite and her meddling. Let's go save Artemis. Naruto says before jumping out of the train to find themselves in a small ski town called Cloudcroft. Okay, let's meet back in front of the grocery store in 15 minutes, Naruto says before rushing to get coffee. Coffee. Naruto yells in his head. So how can we leave? Phoebe asks, making Naruto look up from his coffee cup. Cups. Naruto had rushed into the coffee shop and got 3 cups of coffee and 2 lattes, extra espresso, so right now he was as bubbly as a bottle of champagne. There's no easy way get away from the town unless you have a car, Thalia responds, having gone to the supermarket and asked the cashier. I have my C, Naruto says before his eyes widen and he freezes along with Grover and Abby. Zoe and Phoebe look over before they too freeze. Thalia and Percy wave their hands over their faces, but it doesn't change anything. How's it going over there? Thalia asks Percy, who just shakes his head. The question manages to shake Zoe and Phoebe out of their stupor. They both draw their bows and point them at the northwest. G-man. Percy yells and shakes Grover. Thalia shakes Naruto really hard as well before stopping. He's annoying and irritating, but he's funny and loyal. The river said it was fate, Thalia thinks before leaning forward and kissing Naruto on the lips. There is a pause before Naruto's eyes open and he leans into the kiss. Their tongues engage in warfare, each battling each for domination. Suddenly, Thalia falls forward onto Naruto's chest, making the boy fall onto his back. But this does not stop the two as the war continues, and it was good that Thalia was laying down, as she knew her knees would have given out if she continued kissing him the way they were. This moment continues until they hear Grover gasp, and they detach their tongues, but to continue to look each other in the eyes. Electric blue meets shining sapphire. A gift from the wild. Grover yells, making Naruto take a deep breath, and lines gather around his eyes, and a small line forms on his forehead. Naruto feels the limited nature around them before feeling something full of nature charging at them. Fast. Naruto grabs the small girl, well in comparison, around the waist and picks her up while standing up himself. Run. Naruto yells before grabbing Thalia and Abby's hands while running away with the rest of the team trailing behind, Grover begrudgingly so. What are we running from? Naruto hears Percy ask as they run and was about to respond when they hear rustling and then a loud squeal. Out runs a 30-foot-tall boar with tusks the size of canoes and small beady eyes that were currently starting at them. That. Naruto yells before pulling out Adeline and Jessica and taking a few shots. The boar doesn't even seem fazed by the bullets. The Aramantian boar begins to run at them, so Zoe makes the symbol for scatter, and that is what they do. Shit. Sorry Grover, but I have to kill it. Naruto yells before diving out of the way at the last moment. No. We can use it as transportation. Grover argues, making Naruto clench his jaw for a second. If Adeline and Jessica won't pierce its hide, then my arrows won't either. That rules out Namuakiru and my Kapish as well. I don't want to get close enough to have to use a kami or my other swords. That leaves. Okay, this could work, Naruto thinks in his head. Naruto hits a button on his watch and it extends into a perfectly circular silver shield with silver Tengen design etched into the shield. Fine. Naruto yells before pulling out a gold pen from his back pocket and pressing the button. The pen extends until it is 6 feet long and then 3 prongs come out from the top, making a long halberd. When Zoe sees the spear, she sucks in her breath. The spear of heavens mumbles under her breath, but loud enough for the rest of the group to hear. Cry, Gunner. Naruto yells before raising the spear into the air. A loud screech like the cry of 2 ravens comes from the spear and goes across the clearing. Naruto changes his grip on the shield before throwing it like one of his favorite superheroes, Captain America. It bounces off of the ground at an angle, so it hits Hibor in the chin, sending it tumbling backwards. Naruto takes this momentary distraction to flip his grip on Gunner, so it was like a javelin. Naruto then closes his right eye and widens his left so his group could see it. Instead of their normal blue, it was gold with a symbol of Odin, the Voknut. 12 degrees north, 25 degrees west, 96 millimeters wide, cry. Naruto says in a voice much deeper than his own before he throws Gunner with incredible precision. The golden spear slices through the air before catches the boar in the ear and nails it to a tree. The boar roars in pain but cannot move, allowing Naruto to flash onto its back. Naruto removes Gunner before his hands glow orange and he holds them to the bleeding ear of the boar. Slowly the bleeding stops and the ear regrows, making the giant boar squeal in approval. Is it over? Percy asks. Climb aboard. Naruto yells from the top of the Aramantian boar with his arm out for them to grab. Abby grabs on first and climbs behind him with everyone else behind her. They take off at a high speed down onto the highway when Zoe asks the question he was waiting for. How did you get Gunner? Zoe asks Naruto, who just looks straight ahead. I was there at the end, Naruto says calmly, unusual as he should be jumpy with adrenaline and caffeine. At Ragnarok? Thalia asks with her limited knowledge of Norse mythology. Yes was all that Naruto says in response. With that the Septet rode off to save a goddess. Knife does not own Naruto or Percy Jackson, they belong to their respective authors. The group had been riding for about an hour at over 70 miles an hour and were making casual conversation. Well, not so casual due to Zo being well. Zo. I cannot believe you kissed him, Zo comments with a shake of her head. Hey, I am a great kisser. Right, Abby, Thalia. 10 out of 10. Naruto asks with a charming grin, making the punk girl flush. Thalia manages to says, but Abby was able to say much more. Definitely. But you are better, Abby says, making Naruto reach over and clamp his hand over her mouth. Don't mention that. Naruto yells while going crimson. Thalia was about to ask what Naruto was so good at, but stops when the boar stops moving. Oh, looks like this is the end, Naruto says before jumping down. He holds out his hand and helps Thalia and Abby from the 30-foot boar, but when he tries to help Zo down, she slaps his hand and jumps down herself with Phoebe, Thalia and Grover following behind her. Naruto walks around up front and places his hand on the Aramantian boar's snout. His eyes flash briefly to his Tengen before he charges the boar with enough natural energy to last the run home. Thanks, Porky, Naruto says, making the boar squeal before running away. Naruto was looking for where to go to next when there is a bright pink flash and suddenly in front of them was a large pink limo. Guess who was playing chauffeur? Yo, Ares. Naruto yells before rushing up to shake the hand of the god. Naruto used to spar with the god of war often before he began the whole saving the demigods thing. Naruto, Brad, Ares says with a nod to Naruto before sending a glare to Percy. Ares, Percy says about to rant when Ares raises a hand to stop him. Stuff it, brat. You and Naruto get in, Ares says, making Zo step forward and summon her bow. Lord Ares, I cannot allow thou to take them, Zo argues, but pauses when Ares summons a silver sword. Naruto, seeing that something bad could happen, steps in between. We'll go, Naruto diffuses, making Thalia try to argue, but Naruto shakes his head. He opens the door and slides in with Percy behind him, but once inside, he is the only one there. Across from him was a woman with constantly changing features. Her hair would change between the blue of Abby, the black of Thalia and the caramel with highlights of Sadie. Her eyes were heterochromic, switching between electric blue, piercing black and the sapphire blue of Sadie and Abby. This woman is the goddess of love, Aphrodite. Ah, Naruto. My favorite cousin. Aphrodite says with a charming smile. Aphrodite considered Naruto her favorite cousin due to both of their parents being primordials. What can I do for you, Dite? Naruto asks the goddess, using his nickname for her. I'm here to help you, Aphrodite responds, making Naruto raise his eye roll. Help me with what? Naruto asks. 2 things. 1. I got you into my husband's junkyard and he said you can take what you want if it isn't broken. He said he turned off the security system, Aphrodite says, while making quotation marks with his fingers when she said husband. A grin forms on Naruto's face as he hears the news. Sweet. Naruto says with a fist pump, almost punching a hole through the top of the limo. And 2, with your love life, Aphrodite says with a heart-melting smile, but it didn't work on her cousin. Ugh, groans Naruto with a roll of his eyes. You're really fulfilling the prophecy, Aphrodite comments, referencing a prophecy given to the silver-haired boy 4 years ago. Goodbye. Naruto responds in anger before opening the limo, but stops when he hears his cousin's next words. Fine. You'll be thanking me soon, though, Aphrodite says, making Naruto hesitate before getting out. As Naruto gets out, he sees Percy out already and has a huge blush on his face. Naruto disappears in a flash only to reappear with his arm around Percy's shoulder. So water boy, what you talk about with Aphrodite? Naruto asks while noticing the limo wasn't there anymore. Nothing. Percy denies, making the older boy roll his eyes and wonder if Percy was related to Apollo, Aka the god of horrible lying for a second. Just to let you know, so when you ask Annabeth out, she likes chocolate, Naruto points out with a teasing tone before flashing away, leaving Percy blushing harder than ever before. Good news, Aphrodite got us into Hephaestus's junkyard. All we have to do is sacrifice something, Naruto says before pointing to a junkyard about 500 feet away, making the group wonder how they didn't notice that. They quickly walk over before stopping in front of the 20-foot chain link fence with a celestial bronze padlock. Naruto pulls out a scroll with a storage seal on it before biting his finger and spreading the blood across it. Hi. Naruto says before there is a puff of smoke. Laying there is a double-edged broadsword with a celestial bronze and steel blade and an imperial gold hilt. Lord Hephaestus, accept my offering of Gram, the sword of Odin, Naruto offers before the sword disappears, leaving only the smell of motor oil. The celestial bronze lock unlocks with an audible click, so Naruto just takes it off and walks through the fence. Around them was piles of junk, broken gold crowns, swords made of every material known to man or god, pieces of statues, and just about every other type of mechanical treasure. Look, Ursa Major is in the north, so that is west, Zoe explains, while pointing at a bunch of stars in the night sky. Oh, the bear thing, Percy comments, making Zoe roll her eyes, something Percy could see even in the night. Show some respect. It was a worthy opponent, Zoe says, a bit insulted at Percy's ignorance as they walk through the piles of junk, and if it was not for the bear thing, they would have gotten lost in the similar looking piles of junk. You act like it was real, Percy comments as they walk, making Zoe turn to respond when Grover interrupts. Look. Grover yells while pointing at something in the junkyard. Sitting on top of a giant metal cylinder the size of a football field and as tall as goalpost was a girl. She was about 16-17 and has fair skin. Her hair was a nice caramel with red highlights that accented her bright blue eyes. She is wearing combat boots, tattered jeans, a white Fallout Boy t-shirt under a red and blue plaid button-down shirt. In her ears was her ever-present earbuds, which even from this distance Naruto could tell was blasting Adele. So this is what Dite meant as a gift, Naruto thinks. Yo, Sadie says in her British accent, which Naruto admits is hot. She looks over each of them before stopping on Naruto. Sadie speaks before throwing a piece of string at Naruto. It shoots through the air before winding itself around him so he couldn't move. Sadie jumps down, landing in a roll at the bottom before walking up to Naruto with her hands on her hips. Why haven't you called me recently? Sadie interrogates while looking over the downed blonde. Zoe and Phoebe were about to step in, but Percy and Abby stopped them, intrigued on how this would turn out. Sadie. Let's talk about this. Please. Naruto pleads while cutting the string quickly. He remembered the last time that Sadie was mad at him and where she was aiming those hot eye spells. Sadie begins to cast, but Naruto interrupts her. I was in England training with Merlin. Naruto admits. Merlin was the strongest son of Hecate and the greatest mist manipulator wizard in the world, so Naruto asked him to teach him how to manipulate the mist, which was where he was when Hades called him. You went to where I used to live, without me. Sadie says with kick to Naruto's stomach and was about to kill Naruto when Grover steps in. Can we discuss this on the road? Grover asks, making Percy raise an eyebrow. What? Percy asks with his ever-present confused look. A companion and partner will be gained. She's supposed to come with us, Zoe says before they begin to walk again through the junkyard. How did you get in here anyway? Naruto asks as he kicks a piece of metal out of his way. You should never have given me those brilliant steel lockpicks for my birthday, but that's why I love you, Sadie says before giving Naruto a kiss on the cheek. Naruto gets all of the hot girls. Though they aren't as cute as Anna, Percy thinks to himself before he shakes his head to get out his thoughts of a blonde-haired, gray-eyed daughter of Athena. Oh yeah, by the way, the name's Sadie Kane, daughter of Isis, Egyptian goddess of magic and apprentice to Hecate, Greek goddess of magic. Sadie introduces while pulling her sleeve down a bit to cover the SPQR tattoo with the symbol of Hecate. She had been happy to get a tattoo, but Carter had almost tackled Naruto. Neither had gotten hurt due to the bromance they shared, which was also the reason that Carter didn't gut Naruto with his koppish when him and Sadie were dating. So what is it like to be the daughter of an Egyptian goddess? Dahlia asks Sadie, who just shrugs. As far as I can tell, the same as being the child of a Greek god, but we don't have a camp and I didn't meet my mother until I was 12, Sadie responds, making Phoebe tilt her head in confusion. Then what? Phoebe asks Sadie, who smiles as she reminisces. Well, she trained me to save the world, Sadie says before pulling her iPhone and changing the song she was listening to. What? Percy asks in shock. 2 years ago during the winter solstice, the Egyptian primordial god of chaos awoke and almost destroyed the world, but my brother and I defeated it with Naruto leading the charge against the army of demons, Sadie says with a shrug before scowling and changing the song again. Told you I was awesome, Naruto says with a smirk, making everyone roll their eyes at his modesty when Thalia realizes something. 2 years ago? Winter solstice. That was when the Master Bolt was stolen. Thalia says. It is the darkest time of the year for all magic, no matter the pantheon, Naruto responds as they near the end of the junkyard. As they closed in on 500 feet from the exit, they hear the sound of 1,000 trash compactors crushing metal. Damn it, I thought he turned off Talos, Naruto says before turning around to see Talos in all his glory. The bronze behemoth is the size of a skyscraper and dressed in full Greek battle armor. You? I was sitting on toes. Sadie complains, making Abby roll her eyes. That's what you worried about. Abby yells as they all draw their weapons, although Naruto only activates his shield. Percy however pulls out something he had grabbed earlier, a trident made of celestial bronze, which looked a prototype of his father's, and folded into a pendant of a wave. Abby holds out her bracelet, which transforms into the katana. She draws the sword only to reveal it had no blade and was only a handle. Instantly the water vapor around them gathers, forming a blade of ice from the handle. Sadie pulls out a rod from her pocket, as she was never one to carry a purse since she had pride. The rod suddenly expands into a 6-foot staff of solid wood, which Sadie casually twirls. No one moves until Sadie steps forward. "Let me show you how this is done in Brooklyn," Sadie says as rainbow-colored wings sprout from her back and she takes off like a rocket. In a second, she is level with Taylor's chest and has her staff in a position to strike with when a few hieroglyphics appear in front of her. "Why, strike," she speaks before hitting the giant in the chest, sending him flying backwards and Sadie flying back to them. "Told you she was good," Naruto says before he begins floating with his control over gravity, Tengen in clear view. Taylor slowly gets up despite the large dent in its chest and draws its 30-foot sword. This shield is made by adamantium, the strongest metal on Earth. Made by purifying brilliant steel, it is something that cannot be scratched by the likes of you, Naruto says with confidence before shooting forward. Taylor swings his sword, but Naruto blocks it with his shield. Naruto raises his shield and begin to think for a millisecond, force equals mass times acceleration. Naruto swings the bladed edge of the shield at the sword and in the last moment before contact, triples the weight of the shield with his control over gravity. The increased weight meant increased force, allowing Naruto's shield to cut through the sword like butter. If robots could have looks of shock, Taylor's had one now, and that brief moment was enough time for Naruto to raise his palm. "Shinra Tensei." Naruto yells, sending a wave of gravity that knocks Taylor's over. "Hold him." Naruto orders, making Sadie pulling out celestial bronze wire from her pocket. "Oz, bind," Sadie yells, making the wire unwind and wrap around Taylor's, restraining him from moving. Naruto focuses for a moment, calling wind and water chakra in his body before opening his eyes, tomos of the Tengen swirling. "Ice release Black Dragon Blizzard," Naruto announces before clapping his hands together. Out of his body forms a black ether-like dragon made of ice that shoots at Talos and strikes him. Slowly the black ice grows around Talos, encasing it in black ice. Naruto slowly floats down to earth, brushing dust from his Nemean lion jacket, only to see his friends looking at him with confusion. "What?" Naruto says as he starts to walk toward the exit. "Since when can you control ice?" Zoe asks Naruto. In her opinion, the boy was an enigma. He was the son of a primordial, had gone all over the pantheons, and could challenge gods with his strength. "I can control all of the elements, but I haven't mastered most of them," Naruto says, due to the fact that one day in the future he will. Naruto then bends down and picks up a pair of drumsticks. As soon as he grabs the drumsticks, they turn into a pair of short swords, long daggers that were single-edged and had leaf designs on the blades and oak handles. "I read about these. They were the weapons of Legolas Greenleaf, son of Apollo during the first Gigantomachy, and one of the only demigod weapons to be made out of divine silver," Naruto says as he swings the blades to find them perfectly balanced. He then walks past a toolbolt that looked like something that Batman would wear. He takes off his belt and puts on the belt, which turns to black leather before back to the utility belt. When Naruto reaches into one of the pouches and imagines shuriken, he feels the familiar weight appear in his palm. Naruto then imagines a pack of chips and a bag of air appear in his palm. Finally he tries imagining something that was tucked away in one of his seals, and in his palm appeared the thing he was looking for. "Cool. I'm taking these, Uncle H." Naruto yells before pulling out his keys and putting the drumsticks into one of the pockets. "Everyone in," Naruto says before pressing the unlock button, then throwing the keys, making them turn into his black Camaro. Everyone piles into the car with Naruto getting in last before closing the door. Naruto, you have to drive," Percy comments with a sweat drop, making Naruto roll his eyes as he stretches out on seat, his head on Sadie's lap as she plays with his hair. "I am," Naruto answers before pointing at the front seat to show another Naruto driving. "What the hell?" Grover asks with wide eyes. "I can make Cage Bunshin or Shadow clones to do anything I don't want to, and I absorb their memories, making them perfect for training. So 100 clones training for an hour is a 100 hours worth of training," Naruto explains, everyone nodding at the implications of the technique. "Plus in bed, 5 Naruto can fill," Abby points out, but Sadie lunges and covers her mouth, unknowingly pushing Naruto's head from her lap into her breasts, sending him to heaven. "Don't talk about that," Sadie yells before noticing where Naruto was, gently extracting him from her and blushing at satisfied grin he had. "What? I told Naruto I could multitask. And you were quite good yourself, those headlights were just a blur of red, you were going so fast," Abby says, making Naruto roll off of Sadie's lap and onto the floor before he began spasming, blood shooting from his nose, with the other boys not doing much better, understanding the implications. "Abby?" Sadie yells, blushing harder than ever. "What?" Naruto was also surprised that you didn't have a gag reflex. Abby points out, making Sadie look like she wants to crawl into a ball and die. "Thou is so vulgar," Zoe points out with a roll of her eyes, which shakes Naruto out of his perverted trip down memory lane and sit back on the seat, although Abby sits on his lap. "And we just enjoy the ride." Dahlia pleads, making there be awkward silence. "You want to play truth or dare?" Percy says with a shrug, making Sadie pull out her headphones with a roll of her eyes. "That is the stupidest." That actually sounds like fun, Sadie admits before sitting down laying down on the seat facing the TV. This is going to be the longest ride ever. Naruto says before jumping into the game. 3 hours had passed, and the group had to slowly extract themselves from the comfortable back seat of the Camaro, or they would have fallen over. They got out to stand in front of the Hoover Dam itself. They had found out in the game that Percy had never had his first kiss, Grover was afraid of clowns, Thalia still had a teddy bear named George, Phoebe once shot a hunter with an arrow accidentally, and Naruto once froze himself when practicing using Hyutin. The Hoover Dam, 700 feet tall, built in the 1930s, Percy says as he stares at the large dam. 5 million cubic acres of water. Thalia continues. Largest construction project in the United States. Grover finishes. How do you know all that? Zoe asks, making everyone including Naruto shrug. Annabeth, all 4 of them say in unison. I wish she was here, Percy comments, Naruto gaining a mischievous grin at the sentence. I bet you wish she was here way more than the rest of us. Naruto teases, getting snickers from his friends and an glare from Percy. Naruto stops and stretches before he pauses. I don't trust this. We may need some help, Naruto says before flaring his chakra. For a second, nothing happens until there is an orange blur. In front of Naruto was an orange fox with 9 tails. A fox? Zoe asks with an eyebrow raised. What's up, meatbags? The fox says with a big shit-eating grin which leaves when Naruto punches it in the back of the head. Meet Kurama, my oldest friend, Naruto introduces, making the fox give a mockbow before inspecting each of them only to stop on Thalia. He disappears in a blur only to reappear on her head. Is this the new one? Blue eyes, growing breast size, Kurama inspects before disappearing when Thalia tries to hit him. Bastard. She curses, making the fox yawn as he lays down on front of Naruto. And another Spitfire. Either would be so proud. So who's left, the girl with the big hips, the fire girl, and the one with the weapon fetish, right? Kurama asks bluntly, making the girls give him a "you're going to answer or die" look, and the boys once again giggling and cursing Naruto. Why does he get all the hot girls? They both question with a bit of envy. Kurama. Naruto complains. What? I'm just impressed you fit that dagger in there without cutting her. Kurama asks with a mischievous grin. For a second there is silence as everyone imagining how would that work. The boys suddenly start shaking their heads and deciding to take cold showers soon, while Zoe and Phoebe shaking their heads in disgust. That actually sounds interesting, Thalia admits before erupting and blushes. Little did Naruto know that he now had another masochistic girlfriend. I hate you. Naruto deadpans. Love you too, Kurama responds with his signature shit-eating grin. Speaking of Spitfires, guess who is here? Naruto comments, ready for girly screams his best friend would be yelling soon. Naruto then hits the kanji for 2 on his bracelet and there is a puff of smoke. When the smoke clears, there is a small cat made out of blue fire sitting there adorably, making the girls have to control themselves so they didn't tackle it for its adorableness. Kuru-kun. The cat yells before lunging at Kurama, who couldn't move out the way. Mata-chan. Kurama manages to say as he dodges Matatabi's attempts to lick him. Ops hated how you guys were treated in the nations, so sent you for me to care for. Naruto explains as his Tengen turns on unconscious in his anger on how his family was treated, his friends watching the reunion with interest. Niacin? Matatabi asks with a cock her head, once again testing the girl's self-control. Yep. How about you guys go into the seal and converse? I'll call you out soon, Naruto offers, making the 2 nod and get sucked into the seal, lighting up all 9 kanjis. Who were they? Thalia asks as they begin to walk toward the entrance. They are called Bijuas, beings that were once part of a primordial Shinto god. My father and his brother, Irba, split the primordial called the Juubi into 9 Bijuas, with Kurama being the 9th and the strongest. Shukaku is the weakest, but is still the level of a minor god, while Kurama could compete with Olympian when he is full-powered, Naruto explains, the group's eyes widening. Let's hurry up, we have only 2 days to save my lady, Phoebe encourages as they walk inside of the large dam. Let us find the damn snack bar, Zoe says accidentally. The damn snack bar? Grover asks with a snicker, thinking he misheard. Yes. Why is that funny? Zoe questions with a glare. Nothing. It's just that I could use some damn nachos, Grover says with a straight face, while Naruto just rolls his eyes. I could use the damn bathroom, Thalia backs up. How about some damn french fries, Sadie says, struggling to keep a straight face. How about a damn hat for Annabeth? Percy comments before he couldn't hold it anymore and he breaks out laughing. The rest of the group bursts out laughing, even Phoebe, who giggles while Zoe is still confused. What is so funny about the damn snack bar? She asks only for the laughter to get louder. Phoebe, taking pity on her friend, leans over and whispers into her ear, making Zoe blush as she understands. When she looks around, she sees mortals looking at her weirdly and parents glaring as they cover their children's ears. Zoe blushes even harder before running away. It was her own damn fault, no pun intended, Abby says, making everyone roll their eyes before chazzing the lieutenant on the hunters. When they finally caught up to Zoe, it was to see her staring down the skeletons from before, armed with rifles. Damn it, how did they find us? Naruto asks before noticing a piece of cloth in the lead skeleton's hand that belonged to Percy's shirt. God damn it, Percy. Okay, everyone but Waterboy leave. We got this. Naruto complains before ordering them away. But we can help. Abby argues, but Naruto points at the fleeing mortals who just see men with assault rifles and not skeletons. There are mortals here. Percy and I will steer them away. Get out and take them with you. Naruto orders, making everyone hesitate before retreating, ushering the mortals out. Naruto then rushes the head skeleton and kicks it in the head, sending it flying into another skeleton, before coating one hand in crimson flames and punching it through another's chest. Why can't I go too? Percy asks while kicking one of the skeleton in the chest. Because they have your scent and will just track you. Pass me your trident, I have an idea, Naruto instructs. Percy grabs his wave pendant and pulls it off, causing it to transform into his celestial bronze trident, then he throws it to Naruto, who catches it. Naruto stops for a second, then opens his eyes, Tengen blazing. The trident head erupts into black flames that radiates darkness. Naruto throws the trident and Percy catches it and swings it a few times. Why did you set my weapon on fire? Percy asks before swinging the blade above his head to decapitate a skeleton that, to his surprise, does not regenerate. It's hellfire or Enten, it should stop them from regenerating, Naruto says before summoning two truth-seeking balls and turning them into swords, one in each hand. Let's dance. Naruto yells, disappearing in a flash of light, then another. Naruto would disappear only to reappear to slice off a skeleton's head or to stab them through the head. It was like an elegant dance of death that Percy could barely up with. Percy stabs through the stomach of one skeleton, then twists to dodge one of their bone swords. To Naruto, it was a nostalgic dance, stab, slice, duck, twist. He remembers training with his mother, the strongest swordsmaster in the world. He remembers training with Sir Gawain and Sir Galahad. He remembers fighting in Ragnarok with Thor and Odin. I feel so alive. Naruto screams before melting his swords into their original ball form. He focuses on the energy in the air, left hand grabbing his right wrist. The ball was a perfect sphere before it began to rotate in all directions. Get out, Percy. Naruto yells before disappearing in a flash to reappear 15 feet above the remaining skeletons, his body perpendicular with their heads. Percy quickly scrambles away to avoid whatever Naruto was about to do. Rasen Shuriken. Naruto yells before slamming his Rasen Shuriken through a skeleton. As soon as it touches the skull of the skeleton, the sphere destabilizes, surrounds them in a dome of swirling chakra and wind that destroys everything within a 10-foot radius. Wow was all Percy could say when he sees the destruction Naruto just caused. Let's go. Naruto yells, scaring Percy out of their stupor, and they both begin to sprint toward where the rest of the group went. Naruto was running for his life when he notices that Percy isn't next to him anymore. God damn it, Percy. Naruto curses before sliding into an elevator. Naruto slowly rubs his arm. He had reinforced his arm with chakra to prevent the molecular destruction of the Rasen Shuriken, but it still hurt. Are you okay? Someone asks, making Naruto turn around to see who said it. It was a tall woman, about Naruto's height, and she had sharp, defined features. But her stormy gray eyes that she shared with her daughter were a dead giveaway of who she is. Oh Hi Athena, Naruto says awkwardly. Naruto Uzumaki, the protector of demigods and the strongest demigod of the generation. Tell me, Naruto, why is one of the few intelligent demigods in contact with the Romans? Athena asks, spitting out the word Roman like venom. Well. Naruto mumbles out. Why don't I just wipe the memory of that camp from your mind? Athena threatens Naruto. Because I won't let you. Reina is there and Jason is there and the rest of New Rome. I am their praetor and I will not back down. Naruto says before rolling up his sleeve to show his SPQR tattoo. You dare threaten me, demigod? Athena says, spitting out the word demigod. You are threatening me just because you have a grudge about something that happened several thousand years ago. And if you are thinking of giving Annabeth what I think you are going to give her and she gets hurt on this quest to avenge your dignity, I will make you fade. You're supposed to be the smartest, so what are your chances of beating me in open combat? Naruto questions, making Athena stop. She was strong, but in open combat against Naruto, she would lose. Don't test me, demigod, or it won't turn out well for you, Athena threatens, but just when Naruto was about to respond, the door opens and Naruto jumps out. Adios. He yells before turning to see Percy talking to a pretty redhead girl. Percy. As much as I support meeting pretty girls on a dangerous quest, we must go. Naruto yells, making the girl smile and slip something into Percy's pocket. Naruto grabs Percy and disappears in a flash, only to reappear in front of the skeleton warriors once more. Damn it. Naruto and Percy curse in unison before Naruto turns toward Percy with a grin. You kiss your mother with that mouth. Naruto asks, making the younger boy blush. Shut up. Percy yells. You're just upset that you didn't make out with that retard, Naruto says with a roll of his eyes before he reaches into his belt and pulls out a couple explosives, then throwing them, sending the skeletons flying from the large explosion-sized explosion. Seriously? Percy complains. She's as cute as Annabeth, so I can see the attraction, Naruto comments before grabbing Percy in the arm and running while the skeletons were still rebuilding themselves. Are we seriously having this conversation? Percy yells as they run. They continue to run until they are close to the northern roof when they hear the sound of assault rifles. We are going to die. Percy yells, but Naruto just laughs as he turns around and shoots a few light arrows at the skeletons. We're gonna die epically. Naruto yells as he stops running and claps his hands together. What are you doing? Percy yells. 1 second. Naruto responds before closing his eyes to focus. Kurama, back me up. Naruto asks his partner. Let's kill something. Kurama yells. Naruto slowly separates his hands to show that inside is a rod of spiraling chakra and electricity. He holds it in his right hand as it continues to grow until it is about 6 feet long spear of spiraling death. Rasenjari. Spiraling spear. Naruto yells before throwing the spear. It zips through the air, driving through one of the skeleton's stomach. As soon as it hits the second skeleton, it erupts into a pillar of lightning and chakra that pierces the heavens. Naruto doesn't even look to see how many he has destroyed when he begins to run towards the edge of the roof and sees 2 gigantic flying statues with his friends on their backs waiting for him. Let's go. Naruto yells before jumping onto Hank's back. How he knew his name, Naruto would never know. On Hank was Naruto, his girls and the boys, while Phoebe and Zoe sharpened their arrows on Chuck. How'd you do that? Percy asks as he rests with the rest of the group. What? The spear thing or the shuriken thing? Naruto asks as he lays his head on Sadie's lap. He would have laid his head on Abby's, but the last time that happened, well, Naruto passed out from a nosebleed. Both Percy answers, now getting the attention of the rest of the group. They are advanced versions of a technique my father created on his time on Earth, the Rasengan. Naruto explains before forming a Rasengan in his right hand. It may look small, but it has enough grinding power to wound Layton, Naruto says, before sending a meaningful glance at Zoe, who is emotionless but was hurting inside at the mention of her first friend. I perfected it and created many new forms, Naruto continues as his Tengen activates and his Rasengan darkens until it is pitch black and has several white rings surrounding it like a planet and its rings. This has more destructive power than a H-bomb, Naruto says bluntly before destroying the Rasen Ringu in his hand. Just how powerful are you? Phoebe asks. More than you can even imagine, Naruto says as he stares off into the distance. When I turn 21 in 2 years, I will become a primordial god, and all who I love will become gods. That is the deal I struck with the fates, Naruto says. 2 years? A primordial? I'm going to be a goddess. Were Zoe, Phoebe and Thalia's responses respectively. Yeah, scary I know. Sometimes I wake up and I scare myself, the power I hold. That I could look at any place on a globe and with enough effort, I could destroy it or remake it how I choose, Naruto says as he switches positions, him sitting up and Sadie laying on her stomach across his legs so she can look over the edge. Is this how Goku felt like? Naruto says with a genuine smile before he gets hit in the back of the head by Thalia. Way to ruin the moment. Thalia scolds. Whatever, Naruto says, making the group roll their eyes. Hey. I am extremely modest. Naruto yells, making Sadie look up at him and roll her eyes. Modest my ass, Sadie comments. You're is not modest at all, Naruto says before giving it a slap, causing the girl to give a yelp of surprise. Asshole, Sadie says, her face the same color as her highlights, making Naruto laugh. He looks at the rest of the group before stopping on Percy. So Percy, did Aphrodite tell you about the thing? Naruto says with a smile. What thing? Percy asks. I found out recently that I'm not the only one. Favored by the river of love, Naruto says while giving Sadie's ass a small squeeze, making her moan before blushing once more. What? I'm too young to date multiple girls. Percy argues, making Naruto place a hand to his chin on his chin. Well, I lost my virginity at your age and trust me, I know redeeds. Most tend to be vixens in the bed, so good luck. Naruto says while sending a meaningful glance towards Abby then Sadie, who both blush. Lucky bastard. Grover and Percy think simultaneously. I'm going to read, so don't disturb me. Naruto says as he pulls out his orange book and begins to read while everyone else finds something to pass time. Naruto looks up when he feels Hank land near the Bay of San Francisco. Naruto quickly places his book into his pouch and jumps down. Sadie sprouts her rainbow wings and floats down, while Abby forms a platform out of water and carries down the rest of the demigods. Thalia is the last to jump down and begin to fall before her descent is slowed by her control over air. Almost as good as mine, Naruto says, referencing his unparalleled demigod aerokinesis. Now what? We're in San Francisco, the worst place for demigods to be. Percy says, remembering what Annabeth once told him. Are you kidding? San Fran is my home away from home. Naruto says while subconsciously rubbing his forearm where his SPQR tattoo was. So what's the plan then? Thalia asks her boyfriend who pauses. Jackson. What did you say the light bulb told you? Naruto asks with a smile, causing the sunlight to get a little brighter, but dims when Naruto flips the bird toward the sky. To seek out Nereus, Percy says, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Nereus-sensei. Oh, I know where he is, Naruto says before he begins walking toward the bay. Why did you call him sensei? Doesn't that mean teacher? Thalia asks, remembering the limited Japanese Naruto taught her. Because he and Abby's father trained us in how to control water, Naruto says, making Abby raise a palm, causing the moisture in the air to gather there in a small sphere, while Percy just watches in awe. They walk into the bay to see dozens of homeless people sleeping there. Nereus can change shape, how can we tell him apart from everyone else? Phoebe asks, making Abby smile and pull out a large fang from her small purse, something that should be impossible. Nereus gave us a fang of Charybdis that will always point towards him, Abby says as she throws the fang into the air. The fang stops mid-air and begins to spin like a compass, before pointing at an elderly man at the end of the bay. They walk down there for the man to look up at them with sparkling blue eyes. Naruto, Abby, what are you doing here? The man asks as he sits up. Nereus-sensei, we must ask you a question, Naruto says with a bow. Why can't it be that my former students just visit me to say hi? Nereus says as he cries fake tears. Who does that anymore? I would text you, but you always lose the phones I get you, Abby says, a little peeved at her old master. Hein, what do you need? Nereus asks. We need to know where is the general, Naruto says, making the old sea deity scowl before closing his eyes for a few seconds. The general is where the sky meets the earth, Nereus says, making Naruto and Zo raise an eyebrow. Oh. That's an interesting place to hang out, Naruto says before bowing to his sensei. Thank you for your help, Nereus-sensei. I will be in San Francisco soon and we may hang out then, Naruto says as he stands up. I look forward to it, Nereus says before laying down and falling back asleep. Why is that an interesting place to hang out? Percy asks as they begin to walk across the bay. The general spent the last few millennia holding the sky there, Naruto says, making Percy and Thalia's eyes widen in shock at the revelation. The general is Atlas. Percy yells, making Zo nod. Yes, and the fact that he has been walking around means that someone else is holding the sky. We must hurry, Zo says. What about the Ophiuchus? Phoebe asks. I forgot about that. Percy, could you do your Aquaman thing and try to locate it? Naruto says before being hit by a wave that drenches but misses everyone else. Temperamental sea god, Naruto mutters under his breath while Percy kneels by the water and puts a hand into the water. There is a pause before a strange sea serpent with a bull head appears out of the water. Ooh, the Ophiuchus says. Hey, it's Bessie. Percy says, making everyone raise an eyebrow. Bessie? Phoebe asks the son of Poseidon. You named the Ophiuchus, the bane of Olympus, Bessie. Naruto says before he breaks out laughing. Yeah, look at her, she's so cute. Percy argues, making Naruto laugh even harder. I'm not even going to mention bestiality, but you do know Bessie is a boy. Naruto asks the son of Poseidon, who blushes, but Grover comes to his defense. He says he actually likes Bessie. Grover translates with a smile. Well then I take back the disbelief, but not the bestiality comment, Naruto says, making Percy roll his eyes at the comment and for Thalia to punch him in the back of the head. How can you be a sadist and a masochist at the same time, the unborn children? Naruto comments to his girlfriend only to kicked in the balls and fall to the floor. Now what? Sadie asks. We have to get onto Mount Tamalpais, Zo. Abby asks the lieutenant of the hunters, who gasps in shock. How did thou know? Zo asks the blue-haired girl, who just smiles. I read a lot and I thought your story sounded familiar, Abby says, making Zo scowl. She then explains that she was once an immortal nymph but lost her immortality when she helped a demigod who she would not name. She explains that the Hesperides were the nymphs of the sunset and their garden was only available then. We only have about 45 minutes to get into the garden. Thalia proclaims, making everyone nod. What about Bessie? Percy asks, making Grover look down at his hooves and begin to fidget. Well. I could, Grover offers. You could take Bessie to Poseidon for safekeeping, Naruto says as he stands up after performing several healing ninjutsus on his manly parts to make sure they were okay. If it's for the best of the team, Grover stammers out. He would need a prayer, Phoebe says, making Naruto turn towards Percy, who was petting Bessie. I'm sure a pair of gauntlets that can shatter stone from his only demigod son would be appreciated, Naruto says, pointing at the gloves on Percy's hands. They could do that. Percy mutters as he takes them off and hands them to Naruto. Naruto then faces Grover and looks him dead in the eyes. You sure about this, Grover? Naruto asks the young satyr, who looks nervous but takes a deep breath to steady his nerves. Yes, Grover says, making Naruto nod and throw the gloves into the sea with a prayer. Be careful, Percy says before giving the satyr a bro hug while unbeknownst to them, the girls of Camp Half-Blood were shipping the two of them together. I will, Grover says before jumping into the ocean with Bessie, and they seem to be disappear in the ocean. Hopefully Percy's dad was helping Grover with like breathing and stuff. We now have 30 minutes to get across the entire city of San Francisco. Sadie points out, making everyone pause to think before a literal light bulb forms above Naruto's head. I have an idea, don't puke, Naruto says as he focuses and turns them all into light particles like he does to himself daily. In less than 10,000th of a second, the group reforms in front of the Mount Tamalpais, and immediately all of them double over and begin coughing. Good, you guys didn't puke. I puked the first couple times, but I was 7 so ow. Naruto says before being punched in the gut by Thalia. Asshole, Thalia says as she catches her breath. Hey, I got us here fast. Naruto argues. We must hurry, Zo says as they rush into the mountain. Why does everything smell like cough drops? Percy asks as he stares at the large trees around them. Eucalyptus, Sadie says as they walk. The thing that koala bears eats. Percy asks. And dragons, Naruto says. Dragons? Percy asks with bewilderment. If you had dragon breath, you would chew, Eucalyptus, Zo points out. Percy knows, have you smelled his breath? It's a wonder Annie still hangs out around you, Naruto says, making Percy punch him in the shoulder. Dost thou wish to awaken Layden? Zo says to keep them quiet. Everyone looks ahead to see a large tree with golden apples whose fragrance promised the most delicious treat ever. Naruto would have rushed up to pick one if it were not for the giant dragon. The serpent's body was as thick as a booster rocket, glinting with coppery scales. He had more heads than Naruto could count, as if 100 deadly pythons had been fused together and appeared to be asleep. The heads lay curled in a big spaghetti-like mound on the grass, all the eyes closed. Then the shadows in front of the group began to move. There was a beautiful eerie singing, like voices from the bottom of a well. 4 figures shimmered into existence, 4 young women who looked very much like Zo. They all wore white Greek chitons. Their skin was like caramel. Silky black hair tumbled loose around their shoulders. Sisters, Zo says. We do not see any sister, one of the girls says coldly. We see but 5 half-bloods and 2 hunter. All of whom shall soon die. Another girl says before stopping when she feels cold steel at her throat. Naruto had disappeared in a flash and reappeared with both of his short swords at her throat. Listen, lady, we don't have the time to listen to your eventual monologue, so get out of the way, Naruto says. Naruto Uzumaki, they said there was a threat, one of the other Hesperides says, making Naruto grin widely. Ah, that's sweet. Naruto says before his eyes change to the Tengen and the temperature drops by at least 10 degrees. Get the hell out off the way. Naruto says, making the Hesperides hesitate and move out of the way. No one has yet to get by Layden, one of the Hesperides say, making Naruto just roll his eyes. Whatever you say, Naruto says as they walk past the nymphs who disappear. It's me, my little dragon, Zo said. Zo has come back. Layden shifted forward, then back. Some of the mouths closed. Some kept hissing. Meanwhile, the Hesperides shimmered and turned into shadows. Fool, the voice of the eldest whispered. I used to feed thee by hand, Zo continued, speaking in a soothing voice as she stepped toward the golden tree. You still like lamb's meat? The dragon's eyes glinted. Zo steps forward and that is when the shit hit the fan. Get her out of there. Kurama yells at his partner, making Naruto instinctively react as he felt the mood swing himself. He disappears in a flash, grabs Zo and disappear in another flash just in time to dodge the lunge of a headed Zo. I got this. You guys move back. Naruto yells, making everyone hesitate but listen to Naruto. Kurama. Naruto asks his partner in the bracelet. Let's do this. Kurama yells as orange energy bursts from the 9 kanji in his bracelet. Kurama forms into a orange kitsune with 9 tails that is the same size as Layden. Kurama lunges at Layden who attempts to bite him, but the fox just ignites his skin in golden flames that makes Layden roar and back off. Kurama. Hold him down. I have an idea. Naruto yells, making the large fox nod and shoots his 9 tails at the dragon. The tails strike Layden in the chest and knock the large dragon onto its back, giving Naruto enough time to appear on top of Layden in a flash. Crystal release crimson fruit. Naruto yells as he slams palm onto Layden, causing him to be encapsulated in clear crystal except for his eyes, allowing Naruto to look into the eyes of his primary head. Kodomatsu Kami. Naruto yells as a Mangekyo Sharingan appears in his eyes. The symbol then appears on all of Layden's 200 eyes, and the dragon stops snarling. Kurama jumps off and Naruto retracts the crystal. Impossible, Layden is. Docile, Zo says, shock creeping into her voice. I'm very good at the impossible, Naruto says with a grin before walking up to the 100-headed dragon. Layden, please continue protect this tree, but do not bother my group, Naruto says, making the dragon nod all 100 of its heads before going back guarding the tree. Let's go guys, Naruto says as they continue up the mountain. How did you do that? Percy asks. 1 second the dragon was trying to kill them, the next it was docile. It's one of the stronger thing I can do with these eyes. I rewrote part of his personality so that he would not attack us, but still be vigilant of others, Naruto says as they reach the summit which is covered in mist. Now what? Thalia asks, causing Naruto to crack a grin. Now, we fight a titan, Naruto says as the mist clears to reveal Luke and Atlas, but to their right is a shocking thing. Holding the sky is 3 girls, one who is obviously Artemis, goddess of the moon. One is a silver-eyed girl with black hair dressed in a black blouse and a skirt with red trimmings, complete with a red cloak. The other girl is a bit taller and has flowing red hair that is the color of fire that mixes well with her bright green eyes and fair skin. She is wearing a white crop top, jean short shorts and black leather ankle-high boots. As soon as Naruto sees the 2 girls beside Artemis, the temperature drops 15 degrees. The Tengen returns Naruto's eyes before it slowly begins to morph, his eyes turn black and a red magical seal forms on top of it. Black energy erupts from his body. The energy erupts into the sky, shooting at least 30 feet into the air before solidifying into samurai armor. A face forms with a long Tengu nose, a slit for the mouth, and 3 holes on each cheek. At his waist was a daisho while going across his back were a pair of kama and a gunbai. The construct stares at the demigod and titan who could do nothing but stare in fear. The samurai does nothing until it says only one thing, die. And cut. So this is how this series ends here. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.